What's up, everybody? Thank you again for coming in for another episode of Trials Halftime. I got a really good one today, a few PC folks with you. If it is your first time tuning in tonight, welcome. If you're watching at a later date and you're not here in the live audience, if you're not doing anything between the time of 8 o'clock Eastern Saturday till roughly around close to 10, come in and enjoy the live audience, enjoy and throw in comments, feedback with your opinion, because it is very welcomed here. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit of idea of what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be basically talking about the TWAB. We're going to talk about what changes they're doing to Shatter Dive, what changes they're going to be looking at in the future. You know, a few things that we just discussed about in the past, more particularly the Titan Behemoth, ways they can make the Warlock Stasis subclass that much more viable compared to the other two. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and bring these two lovely gentlemen here. If you're very familiar with the SNTR community, then you'll probably recognize a few of them. You know, bottom left, Light Leap. Bottom right, Mr. Han Brolo Greg. I'm going to start with Light Leap right now. Bro, we've had some PvP matches together. We got Lono through the first little bit of the power grind. I want a more in-depth view of Destiny's, in your opinion, your perception, and I want you to give everyone a little bit of insight how you incorporate PvP in either the day-to-day that makes up Destiny. I know you're not playing every day, but when you do get on, give me a little bit of that. Also, did PvP stem from any other game in the past? You know, feel free to go into your history. Let everyone know where you're coming from. Go ahead, take the floor, Light.
All right, thank you, Wolverine. Thank you, Wolby, for taking me on. I'm glad to do a PvP stream compared to Lona's PvE-centered stuff. So, about me, I think generally from what you will hear from me is a player who is not very talented at PvP and who never really played as a kid or something, so I don't have any skills that were giving to me or something. It's really just somebody who picked up again gaming in his 20s, and then when Destiny started on PC, I sucked. I completely sucked. All right, I had like 0.8 KD in regular Crucible, in D2 vanilla, and I worked myself up. And by worked, I mean not as if you would go if you would suck at basketball, you would just go to your court in front of your home and just play with the players, right? I'm not saying like put in hours and analyze games. I just try to listen to friends who are better and practice. So I think generally right now I'm setting like 31 flawless. We'll get to the current state of the game and where I stand right now, but I think because sometimes I feel like it felt like to me that way when I started, that you know, good playing well is unachievable, and by now I think I have really good friends who are really at the upper echelon, and I have the confidence that I can keep up with them in good games when I'm in a good headspace, and I'm not some like crazy, you know, talented player. So my gaming history, I played a lot. I had my first my uncle was developing video games, and he was very early in the internet, so we started playing when I was young. I had a dial-up modem. I started playing games. I don't know if you remember this Raptor game where you had like, not a lot of people know that. It's like a top-down, like, you know, these typical shooters where you fly a plane from left to right, and you have to evade stuff.
You're digging deep in our history, just like by saying dial-up and everything like that. I sat up at my family computer, you know, waiting late up at night if the dial-up went out, hoping to get in the doors to open for Diablo 2. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the comments in chat. Apparently, I'm quiet.
Yeah, they said you're right better now, so you're good.
Okay, good.
Go on. No, please, continue.
So I started with that, and then I played like a lot of RPG strategy games, and then I stopped when I was like 14, 15. You know, I played a lot of sports, so I kind of stopped gaming. And then in uni, I had a flatmate who was gaming, and I got back into it. I started with Star Wars: The Old Republic, really got into RPGs again. Then we got Titanfall, and Titanfall was the actually very first. I played Battlefield when I was younger a little bit, but not that much. Titanfall was the first game that I PvP-wise played a lot and wanted to be good at. and it's like not really competitive, right? So I played Titanfall, then I got into the Division, and with the Division I fell in love in this grinding, getting gear, and then being good in PvP, like Dark Zone,
Yes.
destroying people. It was just fun. Even if I mean not griefing, but like it felt good to.
You love to
have a good
grind
crowd.
and then take those spoils and utilize it to just be overpowered against other individuals that maybe they
Yeah,
didn't
or
have
actually survive or do good
Yes.
plays in PvP.
Yes,
Yeah, and then,
absolutely.
And I always had an eye on Destiny. Unfortunately, I never played it with a controller as a kid. And I always sucked on a controller, and I still dare this day that I will have to play on a controller.
I envy players that are very good on mouse and keyboard. I basically
Dude, I am a-
stopped mouse and keyboard shooters after Battlefield 1942, and I have
Yeah,
been
that
on a
was mine,
controller
man.
ever since. And now the only games I touch that are mouse and keyboard are either Diablo or games similar to World of Warcraft. So another rowing in the same boat that basically that comes in the generations that I'm pretty sure we're very close in age. So even Greg, I'm sure we're all relatively close in the age bracket.
I'm 30.
That 30, about to be 32 actually on Tuesday. So where did the PvP aspect, did the drive ever come to you where the competition mixed with the teamwork, the camaraderie, the people that you meet, whether it was LFG, friends that you jumped into the game with, like how much of that did you take into it? Personally, I think the relationships that I've built by going off good teamwork with the individuals that I've met either through LFG or through previous games, man, those would really stick to me in games like Destiny. How do you feel?
I feel the same way. So I played basketball competitively when I was younger. I even made it into a varsity high school team in the U.S. in Vermont, Burton Academy. If anyone is watching from Vermont, played in the high school championships. I always enjoyed this competitive like camaraderie feeling that you mentioned. And in Titanfall, I played with IRL friends. It's not a very competitive game, but I had IRL friends. It was just fun to like work it out together. In the Division, then I was really looking for people who were looking for the same as me. I tried to find Discord servers who were focused on grinding, not for PvE, but for PvP stuff, and then going together, going rogue in a dark zone or whatever. And then Destiny came, and I really fell in love with the shooting mechanics and everything. And I realized I want Trials of the Nine. I wanted to be good at it, and I never had the goal to be the best, but I just wanted to get the stuff that was available, right? So I wanted to go flawless. I wanted to be good enough to go flawless. I wanted to be good enough to, and it was rough, man. I like Destiny 2 vanilla with the slow, like primary meta, and like having to get used to angles and sliding out, and even pre-aiming was so important, right? Because you slide it out. I thought I was like fast, and then I just already had like 2 headshots in me. It was rough. And then I just wanted to get better, so I started practicing. I started watching some videos. Kami Cakes was somebody I can really recommend. And then I just slowly got better. I was also lucky. I met some cool people just by LFGing. And then later, what really hit off for me was Season 3, grinding for the Redrix Claymore.
Which would be something you'll be able to flex off in just a little while.
Yeah, and then I really got into I realized that communities can be toxic, and what I did was actually start a Discord server. We had like 800 users or something at the peak, or 500 maybe. And the focus was this is like a non-toxic environment. We try to, give roles automatically according to. I know KD is not the end-all be-all, but like somewhere so people can match and then play together. And there I met, for example, Patty Cakes. I don't know if you know the streamer. He's still like a friend of mine.
Yes, I recognize the name, yeah.
And then people like this were in there, and that's where I met most of my friends in Destiny, and I really enjoyed, getting better with them. And I have this, I hate getting carried, and I hate playing even with better players sometimes because I feel like that's where I get stressed. If I have to carry, and we suck or something, I don't really care. But the worst feeling for me is if I have to play because of the attitude, the competitive spirit, you turn out to play with better players, and then they just rock, and you just like bottom frag. I absolutely hate that. That's when I get stressed. And so that was my Destiny journey, and I like through Claymore, I got the Claymore. I didn't get to Legend that season because it was rough back then. I don't know how many people are watching who remember, but that was a rough grind to 2100 for me especially. But made many great friends along the way. And yeah, and from then it just got better and better because of the people I played with and the advice I listened to. And now I have the feeling I can compete with a really good portion of the PvP player base, good enough for me. And yeah, to get what I want, basically, that's good enough for me. Yeah,
well, my last question for you for the introduction actually is a great segue into our next guest. But real quickly, Light, how much of the PvE aspect of this game, in particular, and you know, not many games are like Destiny where they have a PvE PvP element to carry over, but how much of that element do you spend your time in to almost bolster and help your advantage, or at least your ability to go in and be more successful within PvP?
Yeah, so if there is something, I think the best example is for your question is Mindbender's Ambition. If there is something like this shotgun, for people who aren't aware, it was like an aggressive frame shotgun who could roll with slide shot and quick draw. Or my roll, the best that I got was max range and snapshot quick draw.
Okay.
For that, I spent a lot of time, and I don't mind playing that. But the problem, but I also have to say there's a limit. I don't like too sweaty PvE stuff, because for me PvE, it's different. It's not that you have to be focused and adapt, and it's about your reflex. It's about more of memorization and getting strategies right. And to me, that seems more static. So I was never, for example, I still didn't play a Grandmaster Nightfall. If there is a PvP weapon that's really meta, and I'll play a Grandmaster Nightfall, I'll go through it. But I don't have this ambition to master the hardest gun. I still love raids. I love the world that Destiny builds, and I when I play PvE, like for example, I come home after work, I love to just go into, like, even the Wrathborn Hearts. I just love to put it in and just take it slow and you know, kill some aliens and get my gun. And I really grind when there's a purpose for the PvP side. Otherwise, I'm very happy with the PvE rolls I get. And yeah, so it's really limited by that factor. I will go to the hardest PvE content if there is a PvP reason for it. But as I said, like right now with Grandmaster Nightfalls, I still don't have the triumph for a single one, because yeah, I didn't have the motivation for it. And even with the next season's weapons, for adept weapons, for example, even if they're good in PvE or something, I don't know if I'll go for the adept versions if they're not like really important for PvP. So that's a bit how so PvE I enjoy for the world building, and I like to immerse myself and just play and relax. And PvP I really want to go for it. It's supposed to make it very clear, it's one of the reasons I don't like Gambit, because Gambit mixes this I want to relax in PvE part with make it as stressful as PvP for no reason.
Exactly.
I like struggle with it because it doesn't, like, the PvP aspect is not really competitive because, you know, you get wall hacks. It's more a part of I don't know, to me it just feels weird because I can't relax as I would in PvE, but I don't feel the balanced playing field that I feel in a PvP match.
You know, I think this is an excellent segue to bring in the next guest, Mr. Han Brolo, because I feel like, you know, for as long as I've been a part of the SNTR Discord, you know, you have been one of those people that I have kind of looked at as, man, that guy knows what he's doing in the PvE realm. And at the same time, when I know a person knows what they're doing in the PvE realm, typically they have the best insight on how guns work, and even in the PvP. It's just application just takes a little bit more time for them. But I feel, and after watching you last night, by the way, in the Rumble, you were taking some names in COD, so I know the competitive fire is definitely there. You know, give me your best background, Greg, in terms of how you approach Destiny in its complete longevity when it first came out, and if PvP was ever in front of you, in the rear view, how did you treat it? I know you jumped into a little bit of Trials to come on this week, and I appreciate it, especially in the very dry rewards that we got, which we'll go over in a little bit. But give me your best insight to your Destiny background and how it was brought in from PvE, and if you incorporated PvP at all. Take the floor, bud.
Soul Snatcher. I don't hate you. All right. I'll explain why it got like that, okay? So, I did not know. I never played D1. I want to start this off. I never played D1 because by the time I found out about Destiny, I was a PC only player. Because I started out, first of all, we're not in the same age bracket. I know I look old because of my stress. I'm only 24, okay? So I'm gonna put this out there. All right.
What I mean by that, we probably experience the same things. Yeah. It's not like there's 20 years, separating us. We're talking 6, maybe 7. So, as we're walking out of high school, you're getting in there.
Yeah. So I started off like, the classic, the NES, getting on the Super Mario Bros. And All-Star games, and then like I also had a top-down, I think it was called like Operation Desert Storm or something, like some like Apache helicopter game where you had to fly around the map and blow stuff up. I don't know. And then the first like foray into a proper console was yet another Bungie game, Halo. Dude, the first FPS game, the first real like proper 3D console game that I ever played was Halo 1. And that for me was like, this game is the greatest game I have ever played in my life. It was a genre definer. It was a control scheme definer. I mean, I don't think people understand that like Halo created the standard for controllers for how to play, how to map and play on controller FPS games.
I would say they mastered it, and this is just my personal opinion. I feel that the bare bones, the people who rubbed the two sticks together were probably GoldenEye.
Yeah. GoldenEye is often like,
but the LAN parties that Halo started, it was a generation of what was to come of servers getting online and everyone fighting together in that same aspect. Let's go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean Halo 1, I did a lot of local. I was a youngin', so I mostly played with my family and stuff. I had some friends that came over and played it. Halo 2 kind of came by. I played it. I didn't really play online much. I did stay up for like 20 hours playing the Halo 1 online a bit so that we can, and Halo 2 beta, so that we could get into the Halo 3 early.
Yes.
Played up with my cousins, and we just did nothing but play Halo 2 online so we can get into the Halo 3 beta. And then Halo 3 was just, boom, that was it. That's when the love for like the PvP, the online PvP just kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was just something really special about the way that game handled PvP. It had some netcode issues. It had a bit of lag issue, but the map design, the weapon, like the gunplay in it, just the weapons in general in the game. I mean, there weren't that many, but everything you had a reason for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just fantastic.
How does that love translate into what is the contemporary now, for Destiny 2?
It's very disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. I when I go from something like Halo to Destiny, at first, when I first played Destiny 2, I met some friends through a streamer, and we really hit it off, and they were always playing Destiny. They were always playing Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, and I'm like, what is this game? And he was like, you gotta try it, man. It's amazing. You need to play this game. And I was like, all right. So I went out, I bought a PS4 Pro, I got Destiny 2 when it came out. I already had a gaming PC at the time, so I was like, all right, let's get into this. Yeah. Started playing it. I was like, oh man, this game is great. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, how do I throw a grenade? What's this well? What's this this rift? How do I do this? I had no idea what to do in the game when I first played. And then, it came out on PC, and I was like, sold the PS4, got it on PC, and then it was just even better. And honestly, like, I actually really enjoyed Year 1 PvP. I'm not gonna lie, I do. But that's because I came off of the back.
There's many players, to interrupt, just
please.
throw something in. There's a lot of players, PvP players in my clan who really like D2 Year 1 because it felt more like a level playing field. I can understand them from a certain point of view. It was static, it was very laney.
It's because we're playing on the same maps as well.
Yeah, but primary skill and positioning dominated, right? So if you're really a competitive player, it was from a lot of aspects a more balanced playing field. So I can understand them, yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, that's especially when I had previously mainly been a Call of Duty player. Like, I loved playing World at War. I would play the hell out of World at War. World at War, Modern Warfare, not as much. Modern Warfare 2, probably peak amount of time I playing Modern Warfare 2 and 3. Didn't really like Black Ops, didn't really like Ghost, took a long break. But coming off of Call of Duty and going into double primary Destiny 2 Year 1 felt really good. Like, it actually did feel good to me because, like you said, it was mainly positioning and the laning was a bit more tight. And I feel like at the time the maps worked for the game. Right now, I have a very love-hate relationship with the PvP because I want to love Destiny 2 PvP like I used to, and like I love other PvP in other games. But there's just a lot of frustration points for me that are making it difficult for me to want to play it again.
Let's then, I think honestly your feelings aren't alone, and especially in what's going on now, what has been going on since Beyond Light's launch, and to be honest with you, what's been going on this whole year, most previous year. Let's fast forward to now, and we'll use this to kind of introduce what we're talking about in terms of the topics today. The current deal with PvP and how Stasis has left this crater of change. Everyone has basically, if you're running Titan and Hunter predominantly, you have catered to what is now Stasis. You have the very top echelon of players that have been able to maintain that light subclass maneuverability and able to stay atop their game and still be ahead of everyone else. But in my opinion, I think those are very few and far between. If you're not that great and you're just coming back and you're not running Stasis, you might feel a little overwhelmed right now, and it's understandable. Like, how are you feeling pre-TWAB? Because we'll get into that in a second. How are you feeling just based off of what you've done this weekend and any other weekend up to this point in the Stasis meta that is Trials right now?
I mean, I haven't even gone flawless yet this season. So, for reference, I have 32 flawless across the last 2 seasons, and my problem is that I have good friends who play well PvP, but they just can't struggle through it enough. Even like the best players in my clan have like 2 flawless, I think, right now this season. It's very rough. It's a lot of things like, Shadow Dive is very overtuned. Stasis by itself makes the game very more static because people are afraid to push, afraid to get frozen, right? Abilities are very strong, can make you stop. So it's very, a lot of people are, and add to this the fact that because of cheating and because of other factors like the playlist being very unrewarding for the lower echelon, it's a really tough playlist right now. I mean, for me, every game is already, I mean, maybe not the first 2 games, but then 3, 4, 5, and 6 is like game 7, and then game 6 and 7 are either cheaters or it's impossible because it's very good players, or you get lucky and you can sweat it out. And just so you know my mindset, I'm not an elitist. I think that everybody should, if they put in the time and the work, they should be able to go flawless. I don't think Destiny is not the kind of game, it doesn't have ranks. I don't think there needs to be something for the top 0.01%. If you're the top 0.01% player, you should be happy with going like having like 300 or like will be like 100 flawless on your emblem. That's what you're going for. That's cool. But I think that there should be loot and trials for everyone. Like even if you're losing all the time, it should be rewarding because we want you in that playlist. Like we want you.
You never want to be disrespectful for a player's time.
Exactly. I want players, even if they lose, to feel like, man, I'm getting stuff and this is exciting. I want to get better. This is what I want to encourage in everyone. Like, man, I want this stuff, and I feel like I can stay in here and practice, and I still get something on the side, right? That's how I feel about it, and that's how it doesn't feel like right now. Even for me, who like wins 3 or 4 games right now, and then it gets sweaty, and then I end after like 2 hours, and I get like 2 trials engrams, which are like trashy armor, let's say.
Yeah.
And it just sucks, man. And I already have everything from trials that I want. But I think that there should be better cosmetic loot, something for the people who go flawless all the time, and the lower archelons should be really showered in loot.
You said a few things in there that I really wanted to highlight and pinpoint, and it's almost so you want to make that funnel big enough and more enticing for people that aren't habitual. And to speak to what is habitual, it is not impossible to go flawless. If you're watching, if you're here now live, it is not impossible. I know it's a lot difficult. It's probably one of the most difficult things to do in this game, in the PvP version of it. But, you know, I've lost personally to plenty of individuals that were sub 1.0, but their team cohesion, how they were together, how cognizant they were as a unit, man, teams can do it, and I want this show to almost be an outlet to make people more confident to go in just from conversations from what they hear from my guests and myself on a particular week.
Well, I would say it this way: if you're really a casual player, in the sense that if you go on the court like trials, right, and you just want to play, you won't get very far. That's for sure. But I think that trials should be balanced. That if you put in time, if you I think that you can get really good at something even if you practice an hour a day. So if you come home from work and you play for an hour and practice, and over the course of a season, and you find other people, right? You find other people who have the same mindset. Mm-hmm. I think that then it's definitely in a healthy playlist way. It's definitely possible to go flawless. It's
one of the major cogs in the machine that make up the PvP, as I was saying on the round table, that we have the cohesion and want to play, the incentive, the back end things that need to be fixed, like DDoS, cheating, etc., and those things. If those things are all turning on the same playlist or on the same level, then the playlist itself will be more open for everyone else, and there will be more opportunities for people that to not play individuals that are stacked or on recovs and right. What have you.
And I think most players aren't. I know that people always talk about the toxic PvP community and everything. I think the harder a playlist gets, the more toxic it gets, because people are worried, right? Right now, I can't carry. I'm out of my skill level. I have to rely even on teammates that are at least on the level of me or better to get somewhere. So I actually said about that in the beginning when Trials first started again, Trials of Osiris, right? In season 11.
Worthy season,
10. Worthy 10.
Yep.
I was able. There was a time where I thought like, hey, cool, I can take some friends and I can take another friend that's as good as me, and we actually reached a couple. I have some carries, Trials. Like lighthouse carries. I'm not saying it was a carry, but
you brought them there for their first time.
Yeah,
yes,
was fun.
Yes,
and I really felt like the reward of having put the time in to work. I was really excited about that, and it sucks right now that this has been taken from me, and it's not in a sense that I hate losing. It's just that I can't get anywhere. Like if there's a player that really wants to practice and try it, Trials is just miserable right now, and that's why I'm sad about it. That's one of the states that I really hate. Yeah.
It certainly seems that what we have been used to with Trials, the rich being richer, the power staying more powerful, has been the constant wave, and even the biggest reason why Trials of the Nine essentially stopped, mixed with other things, of course. But when you went into a game at the very end of its tenure, you were playing people on other people's accounts that were really good. Just you were playing the top 5 to 10%. Greg, I want to ask you, because the meta has changed so much. We have almost a 15% difference in kills that are ability based compared to guns. Are you thinking that that's where they're wanting to go with this stasis filled expansion, and almost this space magic that we've always been referred to and revered as being utilized to the killing aspect. I know a lot of people feel that it should be a deterrent and not really kill. I stand on the fact that it should help you kill, probably shouldn't be the initiator at the same time. Do you think pre-TWAB, before we get into that, how are you feeling with stasis in PvP? And do you feel that it's warranting to have the exodus that people were doing for it? I'm done with it. I can't play it anymore. Stasis is killing. Where do you stand on this fence right now?
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, right? But I think the people who leave purely out of stasis need to kind of grow up a little bit. Like, and I say that with the kindest of hearts because, like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with Crucible. I've never been to the Lighthouse. Let me make that clear. But you know, like I'm not terrible. I'm just kind of average. You know, mid in terms of Destiny PvP. To be honest, like someone like me, who I spend the majority of my time in a non-competitive playlist, but I do play competitive. I like stasis in Crucible. I don't. And I'll explain further on that as to why. Part of it is because a lot of the PvP people, they're complaining about stasis. Like, okay, they'll do stuff with some other, you know, like top-end PvE guys and things. But I spent a really long time playing PvE with stasis before I played PvP. So understanding the timing of the abilities, how they actually worked, like practicing the ricochets with the shurikens and stuff in PvE, and like getting a better understanding of how the abilities work before I went into Crucible with it, like I think is a big factor in understanding and like in feeling a certain way about it in Crucible. I feel like a lot of people who are sitting at the top or even like, you know, mid-top to top are not happy about the fact that it's a meta shift, and it is a huge meta shift off of, you know, the traditional light subclasses, which by the way, I don't know why there's a problem with stasis dominating the Crucible when like Top Tree Dawnblade was a primary dominator for so long. Like a single
and handheld supernova as well. It reigns supreme.
Handheld supernova when they were like a singular subclass, like a singular tree of a subclass rather than the entire class. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a bit of an improvement. But I do think. Go on. I was to say I do think that the balance between ability kills versus using the abilities to help you get kills went a little too far. Yeah, I think that, like you said, I think the intention was there with the slow and with the area of the Nile, like Duskfield grenades and the walls. That it was designed to help you create new lanes and designed to help you cut off choke points and things and avoid, maybe try to alleviate some of the 3-peeking, the sniper lanes that people get into. But I think what ended up happening was they were just a bit too overtuned. Yeah. And so people, you know, especially the Shadow Dive, which we'll get into, that was a huge problem. I mean, just even last week, I was running into teams or whenever Iron Banner was out, the time just goes. But even when Iron Banner was out, even in the solo playlist, I was running into teams of 5 hunters at a time, sometimes entire teams, with nothing but Shadow Dive on, just decimating people match after match like that. And I think that like that's where you get a problem, is where you have abilities as outliers rather than as abilities, you know, that are like just extra benefits or something that you can use to control the map rather than something that you're using as your primary weapon.
Let's go ahead and not beat around this bush anymore. Where are you feeling right now after the information from the TWAB? Do you think that was resolute? Is it going to handle the headaches that people had before? Or are you feeling that there's going to be a shift in the meta? Where do you stand after all the information that they just point out, and what's going to change on Tuesday?
I think what's going to change I think the primary target for the changes they made to Shadow Dive into the Whisper of
Fissures, right?
Fissures. Sorry, Fissures.
Yes.
Getting mixed up.
It's okay.
Was that they were trying to alleviate the majority of the stasis use, where it was like impacting the majority of the player base, which is in casual playlists, in Control and in other areas where it was just you would load into a game and people would be running around and getting double kills, triple kills, just like spawning in, throwing the nade down, diving, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think that the way that they've designed the the changes are that it's now more of a precision weapon rather than an explosive like bomb, basically. You know, like they really reduce the range on it, and it really feels like if you want to kill somebody, you got to think about what you're doing now instead of just throwing it down and just jumping in the air and diving wherever you are.
Agreed.
Like, it feels like it's going to be
more precise, and you're going to have to.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm definitely going to talk about that because I am a big user of this new shift that is the stasis meta, and I it's fun and it's devastating. People are utilizing it, and I'm having great success with it. I still feel, and Will Dill said in chat, melees and nades should not freeze no matter what period. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think where Bungie is taking this new way of utilizing our subclasses and having our magic have more of a use outside of the super, I think that might be the new direction. And my buddy Total Alpha, he's in chat, and he loves gunplay. He's great. He's probably one of the nastiest people I have seen with a shotty. When we got to play a little post-TWAB, in terms of stasis fitting into what they're trying to make the new meta and what they're trying to do for the future, do you think it's enough what they did to Shatter Dive? I know we have the future midterm goal that they put out for us to take a look at a few other things, Behemoth in particular. But where do you stand off of what's coming out on Tuesday?
Well, I definitely think it's a step in the right direction. I think that Whisper Fissures needed a nerf against Guardians. I'm very happy that they're separating the balancing between PvE and PvP, because I think this arbitrary fight that we have between PvP people and PvE people is unnecessary. I said it on a roundtable, but I don't want to completely separate it as to the idea that, for example, I have a 2-minute cooldown on the grenade in PvP and only 1 minute in PvE, right? But stuff like this, like that you know, the damage against Guardians is reduced in the area of effect is great. I think that Shatter Dive combined with the nade was too much of an, especially with the net code. You also have to remember a lot of things. There's some things that add on top to the OP-ness of it, right? That you get damage resistance while Shatter Diving is obnoxious to me. Because there's been so many times where I shotgun somebody while he was doing this combo, and they didn't die, and managed to land, and I died, right? So I'm very happy that they're going this way. I think that Behemoth will still be overtuned. I think that's clear. That super is extremely strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that there's a lot of good things about stasis. I really like, so as I said in my intro, right, I come from Titanfall. Why I fell in love with Titanfall was wall running. I think that the next step in gaming and PvP is mobility. Because CS I never got into because it seems like this very static shooter, right? It feels like from like last generation. I understand that there's a lot of skill involved. I'm not going to deny that, but compared to what you would be able to do with graphics, right? You know, you get a Titan now, you run on walls, you get it felt like you're in like a crazy action movie, right? And that's why I love Destiny. It feels like you're in a crazy action movie when you hunt or dodge, and now with the cryoclasm when you can slide as a Titan super far, right? I think those things are cool, and I think that's great where they're going with stasis. And I'm very confident they can tune the freezing and everything so it's not, so your abilities become more, I mean, you can work with things like slowing down the nade travel time, right? If a nade, let's say the ice wall grenade, right? If
yes.
It has to hit you directly, and then you're frozen, right? Frozen sucks, I agree. But if the nade travels slowly enough, as though it's really your, like, if there is a counterplay to the ability, I'm fine with it. So if the grenade travels slow enough and you really have no sense of direction, or you get outplayed, and you don't see the nade falling down and you get frozen, so be it. I don't think that's a problem. I think abilities are a problem if they can come out of nowhere, right?
Yes.
If you think you have outplayed the player and they can just press a button and survive, that's bad. Even in a game like Destiny, that shouldn't be the case. They should, maybe if they have an ability, they should have an out or something. Should control the area so you can, maybe you can't push them as hard, but it should never be a, oh, I made a completely wrong play, but I'm just gonna press this button and the guy's dead, right? That should not happen. And I think they're going in the right direction. I'm very confident they're going to be able to tune stasis towards this direction.
I agree with everything you just said. Even as much as I did enjoy being able to throw a grenade, and I'm probably 5 to 10 meters away from another Guardian at full health, I probably get that kill. As cheap as that is, it's not healthy for the game. I can honestly admit that. Even as much as I use it, it's not healthy. Where I'm standing, though, after all that information, in my personal opinion, that we had this speculation after the community manager put out the tweet about Shatter Dive is being looked at. People threw out cooldown. And I even thought, hey, they might throw a cooldown. There's still going to be no cooldown. Mobility and movement will still be in the hunter's realm of access. People will still be harder to hit while using Shatter Dive. There is still a damage mitigation. Granted, it's not going to be at 50. It will still be at 20. It will be at 25% now. How I'm viewing this more in particular, I don't know, maybe you guys can give me your opinion, and this is just based off of my experience of using it the last 4 to 5 weeks now. When I'm using Bacchus more particularly as my hunter, and the ability to have the use of the aspect of shifting and causing the slow effect on another Guardian, and then hitting them directly with that grenade and then slamming that grenade, in my opinion, we'll have to see. I'll stand corrected after Tuesday, but I think it will have the very same lethality. You might not be able to kill someone anymore that is a decent distance away at full health that isn't slowed, but if that Guardian is slowed and you throw that grenade very close to them, I think it's still going to kill, if not freeze you. And if you're frozen, you're coming down with that dive, you're getting broken anyways. That's just where I stand. I still think that people are going to be utilizing the shurikens. I've seen in chat as well, dust field grenades. If this completely just wipes out the grenade wall, dust field grenades and the other fragment, Whisper of Durance, that enhances the slow time of your abilities, we could be looking at just Pokeballs everywhere. Everyone just throwing these things and these giant balls everywhere, trying to catch people all over the map. We could be seeing it that meta. I don't know. Where do you guys think in terms of the ability to have that precision, like I just mentioned, where if a Guardian is slowed by a Bacchus, for instance, and then you throw the grenade slam combo, I personally think it's going to have the same lethality. Where do you guys stand? Go ahead, Greg.
I think, to be honest, I'm okay with that. And the reason I'm okay with that is because it's not a single button press move that just gets you out and gets you a kill. You're having to put yourself at risk by shifting towards them, throwing the nade down, and then having to do the Shatter Dive. Now, granted, I'll give you the fact that it's still going to be, very quick, because that's just the nature of Bacchus as well, and that's the nature of Shadow Dive, is it is quick. I mean, when you put that video up and you did that Bacchus shift and that Shadow Dive from like 10 centimeters off the ground, I was like, damn. But I wasn't thinking to myself, that's really broken. I was thinking that was just a really high skill move.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what they're trying to do is reduce, like I said, reduce the amount of just explosiveness of the grenade and the Shadow Dive itself, and give you more of a reward for being precise with it and pulling off moves like that. Coming in from the rear, coming from the side, shifting in, throwing the nade down, getting the kill, and to finish it off or something, rather than just, all right, whole team, just throw our nades in and dive on them.
Yes.
You'll
want to go in with your nade more so when a Guardian is hurt and or slowed, rather than those guys aren't prepared, let me just throw the nade and slam, and if they're around, they're going to die. Precision and timing will be more of a thing here, and I like I said, I think if a Guardian slowed, we're still going to see that momentum of nade, slam, nade, slam. Light, Same deal. Where do you think? Do you think that it's still going to be a thing after Tuesday in terms of Guardians being at a point of vulnerability with either slow or damaged, and not at full health? Because they were quick to distinguish full health Guardians in the TWAB. Well, what does that do to the ones that are either hurt or slow? Do you think it's still going to have the same lethality, the grenade and slam?
Well, I'll have to see, because I have to deal with numbers all day at work, so I don't dive into them that much when I read the TWAB. But dusk fields are a problem still, just for the matter of fact that if you get caught, I don't think abilities should enable an easy kill, and dusk field still does. If you get hit in the middle, and it's super slow to walk out, you don't have a counterplay. You can't really prepare for it. And specifically the Hunter Slam, as Greg had called, like, the play you made was good, no doubt. But my problem is high skill. It is a high skilled move if you did it the first time, or if you just improvise with it. But then if it really works, people can just get used to it, right? You just remember you can Bakras shift, and then you can Hunter Slam like 10 centimeters off the ground, right? You
Exactly.
can just do it quick. And that's my problem, right? A high skill play that's not repeatable is if you make great decisions in a matter of split seconds and you have great reflexes. Something that's not repeatable. If it's repeatable, if it's learnable, then I think it's a problem. Like we see right now with the Shadow Dive, people just repeat it. They learn a pattern of stuff that's very efficient, and they repeat it, and PvP becomes tedious because you have to play against that, right? If you play against right now, if you play against a team of 3 hunters, you just play very carefully. You like wait for them to like jump or throw the nade, and then you're already prepared to back up, and then the fight starts only, right? So as long as Shadow Dive
if I can just interject real fast, ill-fated. I don't take offense to that, and I don't think you meant to take offense to that. It wasn't.
No, I ain't meant to give offense
no,
at all.
No. And ill-fated said he doesn't think it was a high skill played. What makes that an ability in terms of handling? It's just I'm going along with what they're giving me. I'm just playing along with what the cards, because
right.
Don't
get me wrong. So
go ahead. Sorry.
It's definitely So it's definitely a high skill. If this is a move that you just came up with on the split second, or if you just like improvise with it, that's definitely speaks to the fact that you're a high skilled player. I didn't mean that. What I mean is if a thing that a high skilled player does becomes easily repeatable because people watch it and then they know they can abuse it, then it's a problem, right? Because some things can't be copied. Like if you watch a great player, like I'm sure you or Kami Cakes or somebody who makes great decisions.
I'm a great teammate. I'm a great teammate. That's something I've always tried to emphasize. I like to highlight some individual plays, but where I excel is being a good teammate, call outs, being there when I need to be. And that's really the premise of this show, and where I stand as an ambassador of being a good teammate and opening up and helping other people with information that they don't already know. Sorry.
Yeah. What I mean is when high skilled players figure out something, right? Like this, and people can just copy it because that's how the abilities work, right? You can throw down the grenade, ice wall grenade, and then Shadow Dive, or use backwards in front. Then it becomes something that can be abused, and then you realize that it's overpowered because it dominates the gameplay, right? If it's really something that has to be improvised in a second, then sure. If it's like crazy ability usage and that leads to a high skill ceiling, then it's great. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I hope it becomes less dominant. If it becomes more skillful, and there's just a high skill ceiling, and you see top players using it well, and then you die to it, and then you know, okay, this was hard to execute, this guy practiced a lot or something, then it's fine. It just shouldn't be this, oh, I got caught somewhere I shouldn't be, I'm just going to press this button combination and it's done, right?
In my opinion, I think that from this expansion and where they wanted to go with it, they wanted to make our skills more viable. Maybe not have the dent that it did, where it's a 15% difference in terms of overall kills in the playlist. But I don't think we can ignore anymore that they want to make us more space magic powerful and not just only emphasize gunplay. like I said, it's my opinion. And that's just based off of the information they've given us, that's really the shift of where they want to go. Do you guys feel the same way, Greg? Do you think that they're intentionally trying to give us more power within our kits? And it's unfortunate because I will say light subclasses, and especially against this Shatter Dive move, you stand no chance. It's really ugly, and I think that was something that urgently needed to be fixed. But
can I just
please,
I just
please,
want to interject
please.
something because somebody said something in chat. Ill-fated said, "What takes high skill, in my opinion, is baiting out people to shatter dive and countering them." So here's the problem. I generally agree with you that it takes some certain available skill to bait abilities out. The problem with shatter dive is if you play against people who abuse it or just go for it, then yeah. Then you just have to be a decent player to know, okay, you have to keep this distance.
It's extremely devastating, but it's very predictable. I have to say, after you throwing it down as much as I have, it is something very easy to telegraph. Feel like, hey, they're coming in. I don't know. I stand on this side of difference, but go ahead, please.
It's not that predictable anymore when you have very high skilled players using it, right? Or even higher skilled even decent coordinated teammates who bring you into a, like, let's take on Pacifica, right? They coordinate you inside, you try to make a gunfight, and it's very easy during the gunfight to lose track of one of the players or make a mistake, and that mistake is just very punishing. It's too punishing, in my opinion. The little mistake, like the reward you get for the shadow dive for the mistake the players make in order to get shadow dive is too large.
Yes.
Because
I
a split
agree
second
with that.
of losing sight of someone, or a split second of playing too aggressively, right? They can shatter dive you.
Greg,
that's
please.
My problem. You have to play super passively. But yeah, sorry.
No. You're right. Go ahead, Greg.
I just wanted to before talk about something like that.
Yeah, we're about to go into the trials, rewards, and stats just after this. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to address the if a high skill player like makes a move and people just learn it and they can do it, it's not that high skilled. Part of me disagrees with that but part of me disagrees with it because of the changes they made, and that I think they wanted to avoid it becoming a mass problem again by making it more of a precision weapon. But then also, like I said, I'm not the greatest person. I've never been to the lighthouse. I'm not like in the top like 10%, 20 or whatever. So when I see people make like moves like that, like what Wolby did in the current state, okay, it might be a bit possible, but there's a difference between making a move like that and having the decision-making ability and the knowledge of when to do that and how to do it properly and executing it in a way that won't get you killed versus just doing it and getting killed and then dying or something like that, You're not just like, okay, people can replicate it, and in the current pre-patch, it probably is a problem. I mean, it is a problem. Shadow Dive is ridiculous with the range. But going forward, I think, it's not enough to just say like, oh, if it's copyable, it's hard. Because I mean, there's plenty of stuff that people do in Crucible. I mean, that people copy, but what separates the people on the bottom who copy versus the people who come up with it and use it at a high skill level is the decision making and the way they utilize it.
Ill-fated. Let me just say, I think your stats speak for themselves. You just put it out there what you have. You would be someone I would look at if I was going against and be like, yo, this person knows what they're doing. This person's prepared. I have to have a different mentality. I'm not going to go in and just throw down my random nade anywhere. I'm going to have to be precise, even in the current meta. I get what you're saying. It has brought, and my buddy Total Alpha has said it all the time, stasis in some way has given the intangibles for players that weren't the best before, but gave them abilities to handle the slide ape technique that has been just so prevalent for so long, the shotgun and then the sniping. Sniping's still going to be there. I don't think it's the same with shotgun, but now there's a way to fight it without having to go fire against fire with, let me just pull out my shotgun or let me just counter snipe. They're going to tune it, but at the same time, they want to level out light. They want to make light just as powerful as stasis at some point. that means giving the kits on everyone's respective class a little bit more viability that might be able to kill Guardians more. That's just how I view it, just from what they've given us so far. Because if they didn't want to lower the bar drastically with this announcement, they would have told us straight out, hey, we made a big mistake, this is not supposed to be what we want. They just said we want to bring guns back up, we don't want to lower abilities down. That's how I read it. Go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like, when you the point of, someone in chat still said it too, Lil Fury, a 0.9 with stasis is now more like a 1.1 or like a 1.2, whereas a 0.9 with light is just dead, right? Like you're dead a lot of the time. And something I'll never forget is pre-patch Warlock. The first time, or like one of like the only times I have ever countered a Spectral Blades Hunter was when Stasis first came out. That dude had a knife an inch away from my face, and I managed to freeze him and kill him in his Spectral. And it was the most satisfying thing, because beforehand,
you were terrified of it.
You get a Spectral out, and there was nothing you could do.
You had to run, team shot. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Now I handle it myself with my nade, and I think that's overpowered to the absolute highest. We shouldn't be one-shotting a nade with a nade on a light super. You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. But
a little Fury, real quick, just a little Fury. 0.9 with stasis is decent now, where a 0.9 gets ran last season. Honestly, I gotta kind of agree with that, because there are 0.9s that I've lost to in game 7s that were just great and having great teamwork. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because people are adapting, and their adapting is just making them a little bit better. I was sitting at, a 1.09 just all last season. Now I'm basically at a 1.5, because Stasis has given me another outlet to utilize it as an ability. I don't think they're going away from that. There's not going to be any more Shatter Dive, cheese wagon stuff anymore after Tuesday. There's not. Well, there's still going to be shurikens. I'm still going to be backrising, throwing a shuriken, freezing, slamming. That's a big part of how I play. Now I just won't be utilizing the one grenade. Now I'll drag them out and throw a shuriken, freeze them in the dust field, slam them from 5 meters away. I'm already thinking about different ways that people are going to be able to kill off other Guardians. Without pushing this topic anymore, because we're going to dive into this topic even more while explaining mid-map. But Pacifica, we haven't played it since about I'd say like halfway in the season last season. But for the Guardians that don't know, Tomorrow's Answer at 3, that's the Rock. Exile's Curse, the Fusion Rifle at 5. Astral Horizon, if you don't have one yet, that's at 7. I know that's kind of far away for just the shotgun. And then your Flawless chest, you got the helmet. And then the mod, unfortunately, because I just say unfortunately because we have nothing to insert it into yet, the projectile speed is the mod. I'm happy I got the mod. I feel that these list of rewards, in my opinion, really hurt the playlist this weekend, especially of what we just came off of last weekend. It was very low. Iron Banner probably always has something to do with that, where people just want to just jump in Banner and farm Banner as much as they can. We have our first armor piece and not a mod weapon as well. Lightly, where do you think, just based on the population right now not being at the highest, everything that we've discussed so far, do you think the rewards this week have a big say of why people probably aren't as populated in the playlist?
Well, for sure that I will never understand why Bungie didn't, like, there's so many things sometimes where I wonder, is there somebody responsible that thinks about
decision making that push it, right? Yeah.
Right, because I don't understand how you can introduce adept weapons as a new thing and then put a helmet as a flawless reward. That's just something that I don't.
That's getting sunsetted next season.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's a mistake to me. That's a mistake to me. Comparable to work, where I would be ashamed for it. Like, I would be called out for it during a work meeting, right? That's just something that shouldn't happen. I don't understand how this happens, and this happens continuously with Bungie, right? I'm very I just don't understand. This is something that's so obvious to me that, like, I don't know, it just breaks my brain to think about. I don't know, unless some code broke, I cannot understand why nobody thought about the fact to only put weapons as the Trials rewards. That's the first thing. The next thing is, I don't think it's just the rewards. I think that giving different cosmetics would be a start. I don't understand why. I understand we have to wait for new weapons and armor for a year, but I don't understand why we couldn't get new emblems with a new expansion, something like that. Because I think cosmetics is something that drives a lot of players inside the playlist, and a new shader, stuff like that, is easy to produce. And they need something that is produced every month.
Yeah, along with competition, they need that sort of ability to flex what they just did or what they got or
Right.
what they
that
just achieved.
Motivates players. And then beside all of that is that even the rewards we have aren't rewarding, right? Because for somebody to suffer through 10 games of losing by getting, or I think you had 2 tokens for the first game if you lose, or more, that's just great. I feel for the people who, I mean, they just leave, right? They don't want to do that. So it's a lot of issues. I think that they have, if they want Trials to be an endgame PvP mode, they need something every season, be it something simple cosmetic, and then they need to shower the lower echelons with loot. I don't care if I get a cool emblem. If there's something cosmetic for me to grind to go flawless, I think a lot of good players will stay in the playlist. They will stay in it anyway because they enjoy the competition. And what you need to do is just give players everything. It doesn't matter if it's the helmet or something. They just need to stay in the playlist, even if they lose. Have the feeling, okay, even if I lose, I can use this as practice time, and then I still got a lot of stuff, right? That's absolutely necessary. So I think that's like the first thing. It doesn't matter if it's a shotgun or a sniper or whatever it is this week. It's every time I speak about rewards, I have to say these couple of tokens that they get is just not enough.
It's not enough
for the pain that they go through. Yeah.
Greg, how do you feel about rewards right now? I know as a person who is invested into PvE as yourself, you want to be rewarded for your time. Clearly, Trials is not hitting that mark, especially this weekend with giving us a sunset. I know we just had a week of complaining about sunset, and then after the information, we should be upset after sunset. I actually took another day or two to realize what they're saying. And it's kind of crappy. Like, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't affect me. I'm just going to have to go min-max my armor again. But I feel for the players that either don't have anything or are just coming back to it. How do you feel Trials, and maybe this even answers the overall question of where Destiny as a state stands in terms of rewards and loot, but just for the sake of focus, where do you think Trials can excel the most by giving back to players? Not necessarily always flawless, you should get the most for what you're doing. Agreed. But how can we give back to the players that are only hitting 3 or 5 or even get to their 7 wins with two losses on it? Like, what's your opinion?
I mean, yeah, rewards are the biggest reason why people like me who want to play Trials, like I actually do. I think there is like some kind of like inner, tingly feeling you get from playing such a high-end competitive mode, even if you're not the most competitive person, or you are but you can't, you don't have the skill level to reach the end, to still partake in it and kind of get some kind of reward out of it. And when you sit down and the player pool is now shrunk to the size that it has, like that's been the biggest issue for me and the people that like around my level and the friends that I have that want to play, is we go into a game and on game 1, it's like a 50-50 whether or not we're going to get like a 20 card team or we're going to get somebody on their first card just trying to get who's at our level that we're going to kill.
Yeah.
Only because like, I mean, how they actually match people is a whole different conversation, but the fact that there aren't enough like lower tier players to fill that out and spread it so that the likelihood of that happening isn't very high is the biggest problem. I mean,
what's your solution for that? What's your solution?
My solution is go and find the guys who made the matchmaking for Halo 3 and bring them in, because something went wrong between Halo and I don't know if they lost the IP to Microsoft for that system or what. I mean, that's the other thing. I agree with Lightly. I don't know where along the lines like people had to be so heavily rewarded to enjoy and play high competitive playlists because, you know, I keep bringing up Halo because it is one of the most acclaimed PvP games of all time, and the people that always talk about PvP who play even Destiny talk about that, and I'm like, do you guys not like? I know that people want more lower tier players, but the way that game worked, and I don't know if this is rose tinted glasses that people remember, you didn't get anything for like being the highest level. You didn't have to, you know, you weren't matched against lower tier levels just for resetting. Like you were constantly fighting the sweat all the time, but people loved it. And I think the problem is not. I think what you should do is eliminate the reward issue. Apart from flawless, give people who are at flawless the best gear. Give them adept weapons at the chest. Yeah. Give them, you know, adept armor should be a thing for one as well, and give that to them. But make everything in between, you know, not like a non-issue, right? And make the playlist itself enjoyable so that people want to go and play it. Because if rewards are the only thing driving the like the playlist, or if whether or not a reward is going to be good enough for you, or you know, can I get to 3 wins this time to get something is the issue, then eliminate the issue. You know, make it so that you get enough tokens even as you're playing to still get rewards. Make it so that, you know, you can get bounties that give you weapons even as you play. You know, get to your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then reward like the 7th and flawless runs with the higher echelon, the higher tier rewards, the adept weapons, you know, stat bumps on them or something, you know, so that it's more worthwhile. Like
stat bumps is one thing. I think you real quickly. Because I got the piece I got from my first flawless for that head was 56. Flawless pieces should not be dropping anywhere from like 62 or lower, in my opinion.
I agree. I 100% agree. I mean, especially even in PvE, when I go and run the raid or something, I mean, I know it's easy, right? Yeah. Or, you know, if I go and run a GM, or I run a 1280, and I get a piece of armor and it's like 56, I'm like, I just think to myself, what's the point? Why am I doing this? You know, why am I putting myself through the pain and getting armor that low tier? I agree that the stat bumps, there has to be a minimum level. Yeah. And maybe even allow people to like get a bounty for the kind of distribution, like plus like focus on recovery, like the Umbral system, right? But not as bad.
I think Gotham in chat really talks to something. I'm almost almost reeling for an answer, is that he played in D1, and then win or lose, he was still able to get those weekly bounties, able to get those armor pieces. So, you know, what was in Flawless that week, it still rewarded the lower end people. Exactly kind of like what you're saying right now. The intentionality, you know, being respectful to the player's time. I understand they didn't go Flawless and they don't deserve adept weapons because they didn't achieve it. But hey, like, why are we not like letting them anything? How we introduced Trials back in March, where people weren't able to even give tokens to Shaxx without getting to 3. That was a really fall flat on your face moment.
And Rock 2 makes a good point.
Go ahead, Light Leap. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah. No, bring on the point.
Oh, I was
Address
just
chat
say,
first. I can say my thing later.
He makes a good point in saying they specifically adjusted the PvE drop for the dungeon for Pit of Heresy to get a guaranteed double plus 16, but Trials is guaranteed nothing.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a great point.
That to me is a huge disparity that needs to be fixed too.
That real quick? Like, I just want to ask him because we're still on this, because I want you to come in. Where is that the big thing, that if they were to alter the ability to give you the items and the armor pieces just as the same way they did in D1, like Gotham is talking about, do you think a person like yourself and many individuals that share your same game incentive would feel more compelled to go in and try for 1 through 3? Greg?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would 100% play Trials every weekend if I knew I was going to be getting rewards and tokens to turn in and armor, because the armor is badass. Like, I love the armor. But the fact that I have to get the flawless, you know, or something higher end to get it is just like, I can't do it. It's just, you know, it's not possible. So yeah, if it was like that D1 system, even if I was getting whipped, I don't care. I'm still getting rewards.
What were you gonna say, Light? Sorry.
The only issue I had with what Greg was saying is matchmaking. I think I'm not gonna I don't want to start a big discussion in chat now of whether I want to stomp easy players, but the system of trials is supposed to be random or card based. The matchmaking is card based, right? You can't introduce any form of ranked or skill based matchmaking because that destroys the purpose of the mode.
Agreed.
You are going against a player base, and then you win one game, then you play against players who win one game, and then 2, 3, and so on, right? And the purpose, like the mode works if there's enough players, so even middle or like above average players can have enough chances, and it feels rewarding to finally go flawless, right? That's why it's so important that there's enough players in the playlist, right? Because if it was ranked, and I'm not saying that's not a future for Destiny, right? Let's say they can't produce enough loot, it doesn't work, so they come out with a ranked game mode and they just produce some cosmetic for the different ranks. Okay, we can talk about that. But in the scope of trials, it just doesn't work to have matchmaking. Because think about it, in the perfect world, like let's think it through. Like let's say there would be perfect matchmaking, right? Because that's where you want to get to. Then it wouldn't be possible for anyone to go flawless. Because the chance of you winning 7 games against equally skilled players in a row is infinitely small.
Yeah.
For anyone. Because your skill doesn't matter, right? You're playing against equally skilled players, so they have an equal chance of winning, right? In an optimal world. So that doesn't work. Like the matchmaking has no place in trials. What has a place in trials is populating the playlist with rewards enough so the player base is large enough so everyone can have a chance of winning 7 games in a row, because and the higher your skill, the higher your chance, the more frequently you go flawless.
I agree with you. I
wanted to drop that in.
Yeah, I don't think matchmaking is as feasible, if possible, to introduce to trials, just from how we've been utilized. Yeah, I just unfortunately
it's
I don't.
Fair. I
agree. Go on. Yeah, go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
No, I was just saying. No, I mean, I'm not saying that at this point or anything I want there to be changes. I just think that the main issue for me is the player base right now is just there's not a wide enough net being cast, or the fish just aren't there to catch for it to work the way that it's intended to work.
How I'm looking at the loot, and especially the flawless chest, as the PvP person that I am, I do participate in a lot of PvE events, especially on my way up to the pinnacle cap. Where I found myself continually doing things at the PvE level, more particularly the raid, was that chest at the end. I wish and hope that those minds that are behind the curtain that is Bungie PvP department would find some way to put that chest theory at the flawless. Because being able to choose what you wanted in any particular week, if it was an armor week, to be able to choose what armor, I think would give a much more purpose and intentionality for players to be like, hey, let's try it this week. We already know that the Adept's guns not dropping every chest, even if you've done it on one character already, is a bug that should have been rectified already, in my opinion. I don't know why it's really it stinks, because I went flawless multiple times on the Astral week and I only got 1 Astral. So that's a problem in itself. But where do you guys think of that theory, of that idea of the Deepstone Crypt chest in Trials? How do you think that's a possible idea? Where do you fall on, Greg? How do you feel?
I think that's a great idea. I mean, like, it's an equivalency between endgame PvE and endgame PvP. I think for the amount of effort that you guys have to put in and the amount of skill that it takes to get to that level, you should have the choice to choose what you want. I certainly, if I ever went to the lighthouse at some point, I would certainly feel a bit like shit on if I got to the flawless chest like for the first time and I'm like, oh boy, a 56 helmet.
That's exactly what I said to my friends. Big shout out to my fire team last night. It's actually someone I met in LFG. I was telling buddies of mine that I find people in LFG all the time to go flawless with. Granted, it's not every time, but it happens. But big shout out to MT and Visions. They're buddies on my friends list. If you're watching, listening, shout out to you guys. We had a great 2 cards last night. But I said to those guys, right as I got to the flawless chest and I got my 56 rolled helmet, I said, if I got here for the very first time, I would obviously be happy, but then I would be brought back to reality really fast when I realized I got a 56 roll that's probably not even a good roll for what I'm looking for. Like, I feel kind of robbed and cheated for my time. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like that's exactly what I thought.
That it's true. And the thing I don't know if it's because maybe they wanted to test it in raids first, where it doesn't really matter, the guns there are not like the best PvP guns. I mean, the Scout's pretty good, but let's be honest, if you're going into Trials, you're probably using, something better, like a Dord or the Fell Winter's combo with something else, right?
Yeah.
You're not really going to use like the raid weapons, maybe the hang. Like, I don't know. They're not like that level. So maybe they're testing it there, or maybe, if it's like a token worry problem, I'm like, why? Right? Like if they're worried about people getting to the chest, clearing their inventory, and just going cash in, cash in, cash in, who cares? Because there are people with god rolls already that still play Trials because they're playing they're playing to maintain that. They're playing because the rewards they got from it are fun, and they're playing because they like to be at that. They like to play competitively at that level. But you want to still give them the rewards if they want it. I don't understand why. Even still, they delete your tokens, or that's the other thing for casual players, or not casuals, because casual, like people like me. The other thing too is, on top of the fact that we don't really have rewards in between, or like a way to earn the weapons and armor in between going to the lighthouse or something, or going to like 357. There's also the fact that, okay, even if I do get some wins all the way there and I get my tokens, they're gone because I can't use them.
Yes. Like, you don't feel as rewarded for the time you spend in there because the tokens go away, and if you're a person that's not habitually winning, you better put your foot on the gas and hurry up and try to get something together, because those things are gone Tuesday at reset. You're right. I know it was a second ago, but how do you feel in terms of the loot and the chest at the very end of the flawless being somewhat similar to Deepstone?
I think this system should only be in Trials. I don't think it has a place in Deepstone Crypt, actually. I don't think any but I don't think any very precise intentionality of loot has a place in PvE.
Okay. That's
my perspective, and I know a lot of players will disagree or hate me for it, and especially with sunsetting, but you have to understand I'm the kind of player who enjoys to not have it. I never got a spare ration, the spare rations that I wanted. But because of that, it was special. When I saw players with the roll I wanted, max full bore, ricochet rounds, slide shot, kill clip, or slide shot.
You knew it was pristine.
Yeah. It was pristine. It was cool. Yeah. I got something else. If there's enough stuff, I got a great mindbender, right? That everybody envied me for. A lot of competitive PvP players envied me for it, and I think that's what makes weapons special. So I think raids should be regrindable, but I think loot feels like loot if it drops randomly, and there should be some intentionality. We talked about it. Greg was in a chat earlier, for example, in Wrathborn hunts, right? I think it's good. Just I know we're gonna come back to Trials, but to bring my point across, I think some intentionality is good. For example, let's say in Wrathborn hunts, you could choose between the target,
yes,
right, the boss that you're fighting or hunting for, and then one of the bosses would have a propensity for armor or a certain weapon type or something, and then the community had to figure it out, and that would be all the intentionality you're getting. I think that's a good intentionality. It keeps you immersed, it keeps you in the game, and it's still mystery. In PvP, it's different. PvP keeps you engaged because it's always, it's not static. All engagements are different, and it keeps you engaged because the gameplay is interesting, right? So, and I think Flawless is such a I mean, say what you will, and I don't care if you're the most hardcore PvE player on the planet, going Flawless, especially right now in the playlist, is harder than anything else in the game.
Agreed.
Definitely.
And
it's something you can't count on. So I think, and I don't think loot there has the same impact on the game playing as it does in PvP.
In my opinion, I think it's easier to LFG a Grandmaster than it is to LFG Trials.
Oh yeah, even me who hasn't watched a
100%. Grandmaster
video, I think I would. Of course, I'm a decent probably PvE player, and I put a lot of powers in it. But I could LFG right now. I could explain the tactics. I could hide in a bush, and do it very slowly, and finally get it right.
Yeah.
Maybe with like 2 or 3 tries. But in Trials, it's freaking hard. Oh, we're allowed to swear.
You're
It's
good.
fucking hard. All right, it's fucking
impossible.
hard. So I think, and loot there doesn't keep you as engaged. Loot there really has to be a reward, and if you get to that chest and you can choose exactly what you want, maybe not the role that you want exactly, right? But like if it's a depth shotgun and you can choose, I want another chance at the depth shotgun, I think that's good, and that should definitely be the case. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think take it out of Deepstone Crypt, take it out of PvE, make the internationality something more serious. But in PvP, especially for something like Flawless, just fucking do it. Just let people get the stuff they want, and yeah, do it abundantly, because that's what keeps us engaged. Because I also think, because people in PvE, I think it gets stale. That Bungie's worried that people won't get, that they will have everything and stop playing. I think that's true for PvE, and I think those people cry for more. But I think the hardcore PvP players, if they have a good time in the playlist and they maybe can take a buddy on and you know, carry them, like you will be, they will be fine with just seeing the flawless number go up, right?
Yeah.
Like they get all the glows on the armor, let's say, and they'll have fun just staying in the playlist and going flawless over and over again. They have all the roles, they don't care. It's just fun, it's enjoyable for them to be in the top % of players, because that's how I feel. If I'm good at that, I enjoy doing it again. I have 31 flaws, I didn't need it for the flawless set, right? I got all the roles I wanted, but I kept on going as long as I could.
Because it was fun
I
to
would
you.
even
You
keep
did it
going
when
out
it was
just
fun.
because
Yeah.
it's satisfying to make it there. And
Great.
that's why I think PvP has to be way more generous on loot and has to have intentionality, and I don't think it's as dangerous as it is in PvE.
That's an excellent point. Yes. Greg, close out the topic before I move on to the gun statistics.
No, I mean, I really agree. I agree to an extent on the PvE thing. I mean, with regards to the chest, the DSC thing, it's fine, but it basically feels like I'm farming it without getting what I want, because I never get anything that I want anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it was more that you could farm, like they should have just made it so that each chest could keep dropping, because that's basically what it is anyway. So yeah, I agree. Maybe that much intentionality is bad. The Grandmaster thing, yeah, dude, I had never run a Grandmaster. I found one group. It took us 25 minutes to do Navoda. Done. Like it's no competition compared to PvP. Yeah, seriously, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
2 anarchies, blinding nades. That's it. You're done.
There's more people prepared, and it kind of gives you a state on what PvP's like in terms of finding people wanting to jump in there. Unless you're the top, 10% that have KDs above 1.5, it's really difficult for you to navigate LFG.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like what you were saying before, too. Like at the end, that's kind of what the point that I was trying to make about the Halo 3 matchmaking system. Not that they need to do like elo based, but the people who are playing at that level are playing because they enjoy playing at that level, and reward wasn't like a part of it.
Yeah.
The reward should come for taking part in Flawless and be given to you. Like I said, obviously, give you the selectable loot for the people that get to the end and like really earn it, right? But it shouldn't be the main factor that decides whether people play it. They should be playing it because they.
It should be an
enjoy
incentive
playing
and not a reason.
Right,
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It shouldn't be like the whole thing is what am I gonna get for the loot? It should be I'm gonna get some loot, and I'm gonna feel good about playing because I'm getting loot and I'm kicking ass.
Yes.
Like that's what it is, right? So yeah, I mean, it's the loot. I think is the biggest issue right now.
So let's divert into the next topic, because I think we're going to go into exactly how this relates to what we're utilizing on This Week in Pacifica. Right now, Fell Winter's sitting at the top currently at the halfway point. Steady Hand right behind it, which is, to no surprise. Steady Hand, I figure, is going to be teetering between 1 and 2, just depending on what map we got. Adored sitting at 3. No surprise, basically the Felwinter Jr., the 7th Seraph CQC is right there at 4. It's people can surprise others with the 7th Seraph. Truth Prophecy, everyone's MacGuffin MacGuffin hand cannon that's just sitting out there at number 5. Sturm at 6. Arbalist at 7. I'll get at the end after I'm done telling everybody where I have my problems with this top 10. Arbalist at 7. Crimson is at number 8. The Last Word at 9, and then Dyer bringing up number 10 at the end. There's a lot of.
Is not inside.
Sturm is at number 6. Yeah, Sturm is 6. This is Sturm is 6. Yeah.
Okay.
That's surprising still, though.
Yes, exactly. And it goes into what I've been saying on my 2 previous episodes, that 120s have become what is meta, what is the best in slot, what should be used on pretty much most of these maps. Where I'm already just going to jump right into it, where I have my problems with this, guys, and I don't know if it has necessarily a problem. I know it's not that big of an issue on PC. I get it, but we can't ignore the numbers, especially when Arb's sitting at number 7. But Arbalist on the console, it's got a very, very big window to be successful with it, and I don't think it's ever really been addressed in any TWAB or by any of these tweeting community managers. What's your opinion? I know this is a little bit of me, but I want to give a little bit of me in this show as well, because I find a big problem with the Arbalist in terms of the aim assist that it gives on controller and how easy it is to utilize that red dot sight. Light, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I think Arbalest has too high of an aim assist. I think nobody in their right mind will disagree with that. I think it's hard to disagree with that. It's hard to balance this weapon type, right? Because snipers will do it better if you're not too careful. But I think it's hard because it has the charge time, right? So it has to have an upside to snipers, and the only upside they can give them, beside a one-shot body, which would be completely OP, is to
don't say that. You just brought me to nightmares, dude.
Listen. Beside a one-shot body, the only thing they can do with a charged linear fusion as a specialist to be more easier on the aim assist, right? But now here's the problem. The way the aim assist works in Destiny is that range and latency impacts it, right? So if you have a very low latency game, if the player has a good connection or his host, you can sometimes, when you snap over them, you can aim at their feet or something and you can still get a headshot, and that's why it makes it unbalanced. And unfortunately, I think that means that some weapons like Arbalest will become useless when they're nerfed, right? Because when you nerf the aim assist, I don't see a reason of using it compared to a sniper. And maybe that's just the way it has to go, right? It's one exotic. It doesn't really have a place in PvE either, because they never address. Maybe it could, go be anti-barrier or something. But
before I move to Greg, is there anything on this list, either the excessive amount of hand cannons or not enough other guns being on it? Where you feel the biggest discrepancy of these top 10 lists that have basically almost been identical for the last 5 weeks?
Well, yeah, I haven't been tracking. So if you're saying they're identical, right?
They're pretty close. They've been pretty close with the hand cannons, especially.
In Pacific, I have to say that I'm not surprised to see hand cannons dominate, right? Because laning with pulse rifles, it's a map where you might go through a lot of corridors where you have to stay mobile. It's hard for me. To me, those numbers never tell the full story, because I think Eugene said it once in chat, if the meta is very balanced, hand cannons will emerge as the most used weapon, purely because they're they enable a mobile playstyle. With Icarus grip, they're very strong, so you can use them in air. Maybe you could buff other weapons in air and it would be differently, but hand cannons will enable a very jumpy, very agile, very aggressive playstyle. And with the 120s, people take a hit in TTK because of the range, right? And you can see that range, and especially because of stasis, is important to keep the distance. You can still stay mobile with the hand cannon, but you can use 120s to dominate at range. So I'm not surprised to see that. It's hard for me to judge from that because in 6s, it feels like there's a lot of balance. So just because some archetypes rise to the top, I don't necessarily see that as a problem. Now we come to Fellwinter, right? I don't think shotguns are overpowered. I don't. It's hard for me to see that they are. But unfortunately, the only choice right now we have is Fellwinter, right? So I'm not surprised to see Fellwinter so dominating. Like, there is no other. 7th Seraph is used by people, is only in there because those are people who probably missed the quest.
I can't figure out if people didn't get enough rolls of the Astral Adept, where the bug affected so many people, but I really thought the Astral Adept would have shooken up the meta to the point where people. But that's where I'm wrong. I'll say that.
No, because
it should have been. It should have been. It's something to where people have been like, man, I have Fellwinter, but I have this God roll Astral. Maybe I can utilize. There's something else in my energy slot. That's what I thought it would do. Clearly, it didn't.
That's the key.
Though, you're forgetting one thing. The Astral could be dominating. It could be the best weapon in the game. There is no energy hand cannon to pair it with right now.
Exactly.
True.
So it could be so strong. Exactly. All Wheezy said. Right. Yeah. Wheezy, I love you. We think alike. I know you won't pretend you hate me, but yes, there is all the good cannons are kinetic. Exactly. Like, it could be the best weapon in the game. You get 2 shots with it, and especially in Trials. That's not the world. What's the world is your primary, and unfortunately, there's no primary to use it with right now.
I know there's some decent sidearms, but in the world that is the hand cannon meta, I stand completely corrected. There are none that can fulfill that spot. Maybe they have something in the works season 13s. I kind of feel like we got something coming. Greg, going back to the original thing, yeah, Fatebringer, exactly. Going back to our original statement about where I feel about the Arbalist, and humor me, what's your opinion about the Arbalist? And then segue into where do you view that top 10 list? Do you see any discrepancies? How do you feel about it?
So with the Arbalist, I mean, everybody's used it because, the Revelry and whatever other events or bounties that make you have to use a fusion rifle to get kills or something, or linear fusion to get kills, like getting the Komodo, for instance, right? Way back in Season of Dawn or whenever we got it. I mean, I had a friend who, he was like one of those seriously like super high-end PvP guys, right? Like, he would just slap it. Like, I remember sitting in voice chat with him. He'd be like, "Huh, I'm just gonna slap on the Arbalist, put the controller on, and go flawless." And I was like, "What?" So and from what I've used it, and from like how him and his friends talk about that thing, where like they don't use it because they like to be more high skilled, but the fact that you can't, like, they can just kind of slap it on, and they always say, like, and joke about the fact that its hitbox is like shooting somebody with a brick wall. I mean, you're basically gonna kill them and hit them even if you're aiming 5 inches to the right.
Yeah.
Like it's extreme. It needs to be tuned down. The only thing that I would say is, I mean, part of me feels like just tune it, because who cares? Nobody uses it in PvE anyway. I just wish they could adjust the aim assist on PvP like they do every other aspect of the gun, the perks or whatever. Because, after what they did to Queensbreaker, where it's just completely useless now, and Sleeper as well, I'm just kind of like, all the fusion rifles, all the linear fusions are just dying, all the exotic ones. I mean, but it's kind of whatever. If it helps PvP, fine, because nobody uses it in PvP.
Yes.
So just, unless you're going to rework it as a gun completely, just adjust it. Nobody's going to complain.
What's your opinion on the overall scale? Yeah, what's your opinion on the overall scale of the top 10?
You know what? I'll be honest. I actually kind of like it. When they first made the adjustments, I was slapping people with Sturm. I'm not that great, but man, I was going ham with that thing. I'm like 6, 7, 8. I had like a 16 kill streak one time with that bad boy. I was loving it. And True Prophecy, it's kind of weird they got rid of it. We had that conversation on the roundtable yesterday. I love it. I got a nasty little sure shot accurized rangefinder rampage roll, so it's pretty good. But I mean I don't really have a problem with 120s being the dominant thing.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that
Which one?
Sure shot sights.
What gun?
On True Prophecy.
Oh man, you want fast draw.
I mean, I have the hit mark as well. But
Pretty much anyone that's running that thing is in a good spot right now, just because.
Yeah.
You know, it's all those rolls.
I'm surprised Sturm isn't a little bit higher because I don't know what people are running in their third slot that's exotic that they want to use. Maybe like I don't know what's it called, not the shotgun, the other one, Acreus for like a radar or something. I have no clue.
Acreus for the radar.
Yeah.
Man, when is the last time you've touched?
That's what I'm saying though. Like if you're not like, what are you using that's exotic that like you're not putting Sturm on, because like it's not really.
The only thing that's really useful exotic in my opinion is Black Talon.
Oh,
Well,
in
yeah,
the heavy,
Talon.
yeah, in the heavy.
Yeah.
Warcliffe is very potent when you get heavy.
Is it used in trials a
all
lot
the
in the
time?
higher end?
All the time,
Yeah,
all the
Warcliffe
time,
is
all the time.
especially with the catalyst. Yeah.
Yes, all the time.
Okay.
You know,
Otherwise,
that thing
what
tracks.
legendary do you run though? I run I got a commemoration. Is really good. I replaced I had a really good roll on the Hammerhead. 2,500 the Guardians defeated on it, and now I switched to the commemoration.
I run the Tomorrow's Answer. I just run the Rocket. I was running the Quick
What do you
Fang.
run on it?
I got tracking and then cluster bomb. So just any
I got
residual.
the same. I
Yeah.
know. Is that good?
It's a decent roll. If I ever get heavy, I just shoot at the floor when I think a Guardian's right there. Especially if they're three peeking around a corner, pop. Just easy blast.
Gives you Sins of the Past vibes from.
Exactly. That's exactly. I was running Quick Fang for the longest time just because of the ghost to mobility that it gave you when you ran with it. Obviously, three peeking was a thing. Now I don't really care for the three peeking now because I feel confident with stasis and the back wrist shift and basically everything in my kit. So I feel that using the Rocket, I'm almost a little bit more lethal, especially that round if I can get my hands on it.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's go ahead before we transition. We're actually gonna get into this game and give you guys a few insights, a few little pieces from myself. Go ahead, Greg. Right before we get in.
Just to finish up, I will say, I think part of the problem you have like no shotgun selection is not just the fact that there's not many energy hand cannons, but also the fact that Fellwinter's just massively outclasses almost every shotgun in the game. I really feel bad for people getting Astral Horizon because once again, it's like, why am I going to do that?
Yeah.
I think keep all the perks on it, just rein the range in a little bit and give Astral a chance to breathe. And that's meant to be pinnacle PvP. And it's being outclassed by like a random quest legendary. I just feel bad.
It's something they're gonna have to figure it out, and hopefully they figure it out sooner than later.
They're putting it in the kiosk. That's the solution. Everybody gets it.
No, but I personally, what I meant by that, I think they need to tune Fellwinter just a little bit before it gets too late and we're bitching about it like Recluse. So again, without further ado, we'll jump right in, give you guys our best feedback, and I'll give you guys a few spots in terms as a sniper where I've found most success, because on my trials report this week, I was really surprised when I looked at it for the first time that I had a lot more sniper kills than I did my primary. So, how much did you get in, Light? How much did you get in terms of cards run? Were you successful? Did you find a good rhythm?
This week I only played on Friday with some friends. We got like 2 games 6. And lost to one team that was just outclassed us, one team that we don't know what it was. I don't know if we were just frustrated or they were cheating. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to say.
It is.
Yeah.
I hate having to second think that on PC. It's really bothersome.
Me too. I hate that
it's
too.
Really awful.
So I don't know. Like that's how far we got.
Greg, how about yourself? Rough around the edges. Was it easy pill to swallow or what?
It's rough.
I like
It's
Pacific
rough.
on Countdown, by the way. Just one
Pacifica, especially like this map. I'm gonna play this weekend. I'm gonna play it because talking about this and being on this show is making me want to play more again, right?
Yeah.
But
We should
Go
run
ahead.
a card
Go ahead.
with Greg.
And on this show, people have asked me if I'm gonna play at all. Maybe in the future. I don't know if people want to see me play. I'm good. Don't get me wrong. I have confidence in my skills. I'm not the one that's probably going to be doing carry services or countless things like that. No, I will get on a good team. We'll communicate. We'll give it our best. That's where I'm about. But to start off, I'm going to give everyone a spotlight. I'm going to put the camera, my point of view on one of you guys. I just want to show them from this spawn because I'm really happy I spawned here because it's actually one of my favorite spawns to get at. Right from rip, what I'll do is hop across, just kind of get some momentum. One thing I've learned, if you hit the ceiling, you get a little bit more of a momentum. I'll stop right here and I'll peek this. I'll peek this for a good second. It's a great counter spot. Same deal.
What other teams do, so you can like.
Yeah. I'm not gonna pick you, but basically, you'll have a spot right here. This is gonna be your major pre-snipe this week. Right where Light's standing, it's exactly the same route. I'll show you, mirror-wise what it looks like, especially when you're coming from that spawn, and probably the most ideal route to take in terms of, getting there quickly. I will admit, though, just from my own point of view, when I'm playing against a Warlock that's on Dawn top tree, I'm pretty much not going to beat them there every time, especially if they're wanting to go there. But from this spawn, take off. Just take off as fast as I can just to get there. Nothing to hit my head on the ceiling to kind of get that little extra boost. But, right there in the corner, that's exactly where I was standing. That's your pre-snipe. That's your counter-snipe. Go ahead, Light. I'll follow you if there's anything you want to start and talk about in terms of where you, depending on what spawn, just tell me whichever spawn you want to go to. But what's your ideal route that you take?
From the same.
Yeah. Just show me, and go ahead and talk at your ideal route from this spawn and how you take it round per round.
So as a shotgunner mainly, I don't know if you want. Yeah, if you want.
Go ahead, just lead. I'm gonna follow you, dude. Go ahead and talk.
All right. So as a shotgunner mainly in trials, you wanna position yourself well. It depends on your teammates more, right? Because you can't, like Wolvie said, you can't pick an angle like this and hope for a pick, right? Even with my primary, this is gonna be a fight. So in Pacifica specifically, I usually don't go left because I have sniping teammates. They take the top part, right? Unless they want me for support with my primary, I go low, and I usually go here. Like in the first round, I go here and read radar, see what they do. Like, cause from here you have a good engagement angle. You can either slide out, you can go back into cover quickly, and if they're here, you have a good primary angle to fight. And sometimes at the sniping angles, if they take the top, you can catch them by surprise.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the people will cover though. The problem is with this map, it's very linear. So especially for shotgun players.
There's a mean, real quick, just while you're standing there, because you said a sniper lane. There's a mean head glitch where I'm standing, where I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So be aware. From Light Lead's perspective, for our viewers watching, if you're in this area and you think someone might be sniping there, right where Greg is, it's a nasty head glitch. Head glitch. They have full view of exactly where you are, and it's really hard to counter that from that angle. Honestly, if I'm ever in that scenario and I see him, I'll go here real fast and I'll just try to work from this angle.
What I wanted to say is I don't try to engage them on the long lane. I either try to push through to the side here and play the middle, support my players that are maybe on the left, on the platform over there, and shoot across here. I don't usually, especially because of those reasons and because they have a lot of cover there. Like, you're pretty open here. You have to go either inside and lose sight of track, or you have to go backwards. And backwards always loses a lot of time. So I try not to engage here. I either go to the left here and try to engage the middle, or go push really hard forward to break this angle, right, that you were saying.
Yeah.
And support from here. This is usually the play. if we want to switch it up, what you can do is also go outside. I think that's very, very good, especially for shotgunners. It's better because you have better
Let me just
angles.
point out, everybody watching, the point is right here. If you weren't aware already, the point is right here, and a big portion of as soon as Light's done, and actually as soon as Greg's done, because I want Greg to go next, I'll go over what has been successful for me in terms of holding the outside in a way where you can keep cover of all the angles. Go ahead, Light. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's what I mainly want to say. On this map, as a shotgun player, because you have always long routes, right? You have to be sure of your primary shot. You have to stay close to cover, and only when when you can surprise them, you can push out with the shotgun. That's all I wanted to say. And Gotham is already saying, yeah, oh, Light League is a shotgun ape. Yes, that's exactly what I am. I don't hide it. I love fast pace. I think snipers, as good as you are with your aim, and as good as you are with covering maps and map awareness, I think it makes the game super boring because people are afraid to get sniped. I like to get in there and get the fight and be fast, use cover, and try to shotgun. Yeah, that's what I try to do.
Greg,
So,
go ahead.
In
Sorry.
this map, I just wanted to say, just to finish it off.
Yeah, sorry.
This is a very primary heavy map for shotgun players. They will try to. I always at least try to support, try to find different angles, and always stay close to cover because the lanes that you have to cross to get to the enemy team are very long, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stretch in the lanes in this week. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
It may seem that you might have a lot of angles, and realistically, in some positions, you do have a lot of angles for cover. But man, if you got to gun it down one lane, you're running straight for a good second.
Right.
Greg, same deal. Walk me through whichever side you feel that you're the quickest through off spawn, and exactly how are you taking this? Are you sniping with your special? Or are you shotgunning? Or are you just positioning? What? Go ahead.
So I'm more of a support player, which is why I like running 120s, and I think that's another reason why they're so prevalent right now, especially on when you get maps like this. So I will come almost always, unless it's maybe first round, I will avoid this section completely, because you are almost guaranteed to get shot by somebody coming up the stairs or around the corner.
If you're not a great at counter sniping or sniping in general and aren't quick to this area, I do not recommend going here. But if you feel that you're going to be able to compete, you can get this angle right here. You can also, I meant to put this out earlier, sometimes you can hear a jump. People will jump over those staircases instead of walking up, and that's an easy snipe right here. Sorry, go ahead, Greg.
And well, that's the other thing too, right? So if sometimes what I will do is because I do try, right? But I like to kind of also get an idea from myself of what I'm dealing with. So if it's like round 1, life 1, okay, maybe I will come up here and try to snipe and see what their reaction speeds are, how fast their aims are, and kind of get an idea of what team I'm playing against, right? Yeah. That's a little bit kind of like a risk, but I like to know what I'm dealing with. Otherwise, usually I'll come down on the bottom and I'll support and I'll try to pick off people with my 120 or with my sniper, trying to finish people off with a body shot or lower them enough so that they can get a team shot on there. Because especially with if you have a good roll with a true prophecy or something, and you're racking that up and you can get just even one kill, you're hitting 120s.
Yeah.
Right? You're on headshots. And even I was testing it on Lightly when he was standing in that sniper spot from this way. Even standing here, I was hitting full 90s on him. I mean, from here into the doorway, I was hitting full power 90.
And you said really one really important thing. Teams, if you can coordinate yourself to team shot, you will wipe the floor with some crew with the 120s. Wipe them.
This map, I can 100% agree. This map is all about team shots. So even with my shotgun, if my 2 players are going here, and we can peek here. If you're the first, basically, on one of these lanes inside as a team, you have a really good position, right? Because if you're rather fast with aiming and you shoot them, that's really good.
Especially this Guardian that either jumps up or has to clamber. They're almost left vulnerable for a good 2 seconds, especially if you're running in with that shotty and slide shotting. Let's take it outside real quick. I want to give everyone a good idea to go ahead. Yeah, please.
One thing I like to play, especially if you come from here, I really like to play, especially because a lot of teams I noticed try to go for the lanes that you explained right up there, right? So if you, especially as a shotgun player, what I really like to, if you can push through here, so if you can manage to not get picked off and run through this, you have a really good angle to basically support your team that's still up there, because you can back out really quickly outside. You can back up, double back to your team. This angle isn't very far, or you can use your primary from here, or you can do quick plays. Titan slam, something.
Yeah.
You're very close. So if you can get through here from the other side, this is really good. It's not that good from the other side because they have the cover here and you have a long angle here. You can't double back, but if you spawn on the other side and can come through here, this is a really good angle to engage.
Yes,
if you like close quarters play.
That your take is very aggressive, and if you can execute the way that you're telling right now, you and your team will be able to catch the other team completely with their pants down, because most teams, I will say, that come into trials are going to be a little bit slow paced because they know it's one life. They don't want to be the guy that dies first to hurt their team and put their team in a bad situation. So if you can be as coordinated as Light's demonstrating right now with your counterparts in terms of being in the right position to help team shot, call outs, man, like I said, with their pants down.
Yeah. The only thing that's really dangerous is if not all three are up there. If there's one person, holding the lane in here, like towards you here, that's very dangerous, because then you have to engage, but then you have a 1v1 here, right, on your hands. You just have to stay, because you can't push, because if you push and you get caught between two firing lines. But if all three are up there and you know that, this is a very nice aggressive play to make from the side while they engage the two other people on your team. Yeah.
So
go ahead, please. Also come around on the outside too. Like it is risky because you leave them for like a not insignificant amount of time, because like you said, these lanes are just long.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of travel time.
Yeah.
But I like to sometimes come on the outside and come through here and try to, like, I read the radar a lot, so I like to see like what the general position.
Radar is your friend, especially in this map. Yeah. It's your friend.
If I feel like I can get up here and get comfortable, and there's not gonna be somebody right around the corner ready to kill me.
Yeah.
Then I'll come up through this middle space and either come from behind or shoot up through that center as well.
I wanted to come out here because I want to give everyone a good idea as a 3-man fire team, a good way to hold this area down. If it's 4-4, or if you need to, charge your super up a little bit, you got to hold ground and you can get it because the team's just rushing inside. Typically, what I've done and had success doing with helping with my team, having a guy right here being able to watch the porthole, typically a guy over here to be able to let you know if the guy's going to be able to rush in right here, or if the other Guardian is going to be able to come around this side, because that is another route they can take when they go around that far left. Real quickly, the last guy in between the porthole, because you want the porthole guy to be able to fluctuate at a very quick pace to either the guy on the far left or the guy on the far right if they need any help. Typically right here, I have been able to kind of master a way to 3-peek, but at the same time bait. I'll call my thing up real quick, just pull it back, because a lot of people will push in on that 3-peek call out. They'll look in their bottom left-hand corner to see if they're emoting, and they'll move in on that. I'll bait that. I'll just go ahead and back risk real fast, and catch them on their bluff. Go ahead.
The point of emoting.
Oh yeah, the emoting.
Something you have to watch. Unfortunately, in the state of trials, you have to watch the feed, as you can see right now, and in Wolfie's feed, you can see when we emote, right? Officer Purge, Light Leap disagrees. And what you also have to watch out for, and you will hear it, like listen to Wolfie's stream right now. So he doesn't see me right now, right? But listen. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can hear the sword being taken out. If you hear this sound, that means there's sword peeking. And that means
I actually have my FX volume down on game, so they're not going to be able to hear. But if you hear that sword sound, it's very distinct. You play this game, you're not going to miss it. You take out your sword on your own person, that's what it sounds like. You hear what he's referring to,
Jaja, you're not supposed to admit to that. So Jaja is saying, been doing that every game, super helpful.
Yeah,
dude. I know
It's part, but
awful,
you're just
but
playing the cards that are dealt you. That's just what it is.
Of course, everybody like I'm not blaming anyone to use everything that they can, right? But I'm just saying, if you're wondering why this makes Trials slow, I don't know. Well, if you can find cover, like, it's just tedious, right? Because right now I know exactly, like, if you can find a spot where, can you hide from where I can't see you? If I stand here.
What if you're three peeking?
No, I'm not sweep peeking right now. Just like,
Can I hide?
yeah,
Where
just
you...
cover. Yeah, just take cover up there in the, or yeah, up there.
Okay.
Right. So I know exactly. So I don't know when he peaks. Just decide at one time to peak, and I know exactly when.
Yes. Yes.
Because
It's free information.
I don't have to. It's free information. That's why it makes it slow, and it's really annoying. Everybody hates that.
And stasis, in my opinion, has
That's
been
right,
a big
Jaja.
has
You have
been a
never
big
done that in
culprit.
your life. Exactly.
Stasis
I
has been a
didn't-
big culprit to
never.
help kind of eliminate a lot of the three peaking, in my opinion, because people have been more reluctant to want to push, or I mean, excuse me, have been more willing to want to push, and the reluctancy comes into the fact of those three peakers might not want to sit behind that corner for too long because they know they might get pushed or get a dust field grenade to suck them out to the left a little bit, or the right, whichever way you're standing as I'm frozen. But I wanted to also, if people are utilizing the strat that I just said, I have been to come around here, peek this hole, move back around, and then I favored the left side. I feel like there's more cover on this left side compared to this right. You have crate right here. You can go around this backside. This is just me throwing out my 2 cents in terms of where my success has been driven from this weekend. If people are hiding that or holding that zone and maintaining the outside perimeter and pretty much avoiding the inside, because there are teams that do that. There are teams that will just make camp right on that point every single round. That's their home now that they live in, and they let you know that round 1 through 5. Fellas, go ahead and before we move on, because we have our last segment, the play of the week, and then we'll close out with what we feel the player of the week and then our final segments. But what else on this map can you give our audience and the people watching on a later date some good helpful things that you've found success with on this map?
For me, it's the radar is super important in this map, because there's basically long areas that they have to come through, and when players orient, you can tell what the dynamic of the game will be, right? If you come close, if you go up, you go as far up as you see radar, right? You see here, you peek, or you go outside. It's just a lot of radar watching, and this is just a lot of aim. This is, to me, this map at least, it's a lot about team shooting and finding angles, and maybe you can find an aggressive play like I showed you earlier here. If you have a good person that is confident in their flanking skills and doesn't get caught with their pants down right when all three players jump on him, then it's a lot about playing together, checking radar, and then deciding with your team what angle you're going to engage with.
Yeah, communication, I feel, and every week you will succeed at the best rate if you're able to communicate. Chemistry as well is something that goes a long way with success. Having that chemistry with certain individuals, it's going to take time, but you're not going to always hit it off. But call outs, communication, being patient are big factors to succeeding for people that aren't habitually in there, or even people that do it once or twice a week. I'm serious. You laugh, but I've lost.
Punching me.
But yeah, I feel that a good team, no matter what any of their KDs are, it could be the best, and they're playing with one of the worst. As long as that worst person isn't costing their team by either dying, giving a call out, they're gonna succeed. Go ahead, Greg. How are you feeling? What can you close out on this map in terms of feelings?
I think Lightly even you summed it up pretty well. For me, especially, it's like if you're not as strong a player, or if you're not super confident in being aggressive, absolutely use the radar all the time. Will help that kind of like, to show the way the fight's gonna go. Because if they're all just sitting in one place all the time, well, they're gonna be taking it easy most likely, right? As in staying back, not being too aggressive, and team shotting. You have to team shot on this map because you will get picked off otherwise, or you're gonna cost your team a lot of lives.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is correct. Because what I feel, especially against better teams on this map particularly, it's very easy to get caught in a situation that you can't get out of, because to get an angle on like right here, you have to get in so far, you have to be so aggressive that if the team really in a split second is coordinated and jumps on you, you have a very hard time getting back to your team.
Yes.
And so it's very much stick with your team and try to team shoot.
Unless you're like really confident that you can go out on your own. I mean, just play with your team. Be a team player. Because as Wolvie likes to say, like that, you can't. Especially, I think like this is one of those maps that emphasizes it. You really can't win without being a team, without being a good team.
Yeah. And like I said, also, it doesn't matter what your KD is. I've lost to game 7s to .9s because they were playing superb that week. They were just hitting it off on all cylinders. A lot of it, they may not have played 2.0 KD people on their card and their way to 7, but those days happen as well. They happen more often on more populated weekends when the reward's a little bit better, Iron Banner's not going on, what have you. But the point of this show is to give people more confidence to enter it. Help them with call-outs, knowing that there's a sniper lane this way. Maybe I shouldn't run this way because I want to have the cognizant nature to know that, hey, I don't want to give my team a death and put them in a bad 3-on-2 situation. Because most teams, if they see that they're up 3-2, it's bulls in a china shop. It's full blow right at you. So to finish this off, I'm gonna just do that and then that and then
And I'm gonna do that.
Finish this off. We should have a proper rumble for a second.
No. I was being cheeky. I want to get to our final segment. This is a very long episode, longer than the previous ones, which I'm very happy about, because when we have two new guests, two new guardians, I want to utilize that time to give our viewers watching an idea of who this player is. Do I have anything in similarities, or am I completely polar opposite? And can I emulate anything that they're teaching me into my gameplay to be more successful? As always, every week I want to give back a little bit more. It's the same way I was kind of given this opportunity, and which I'm very humbled by, to come on and share this with the two guests that I have and everyone viewing now in the live audience and after the fact. An ability to show off a little bit. So this one was submitted this week by Jaja Church. He's been a very, very big supporter of mine. We've actually played a little bit last weekend. Very good guy. So he and I want players and people watching, when you submit, it doesn't have to be the map going on this week. Ideally, I wanted it to be your best clip from the previous week, so we can kind of just talk about what was going on and what he was doing. He gets 3 headshots in this. From the very beginning.
Was a nice.
Yeah,
that was nice.
What is that? Is that that's a controller, right?
Yeah, he's on controller. But he also does play PC as well. Actually, he kind of prefers PC. But we were running comp, I was just like, let's just play on Xbox and just have a little bit more of a,
so can you repeat
fun
that?
time. No, it's on loop. It's constantly on loop. It's constantly on loop. So I want to break down. I want to break down a little bit.
Man.
I want to break down a little bit also what exactly he was doing and how well he did it in this situation, being cognizant enough that no, I'm not going to win this fight. I need to get out of there. He does a little bit of a grenade toss, utilized it to take enough damage to finish with the shuriken, and then to pop him just 2 times in the head with Ace of Spades.
Chris there.
But I feel that's part of the skill. Yeah, it's part of the skill.
Radar read.
So, how are you guys in terms of your big play potential? Is the new meta able to give you, Light Leap, a little bit more of a big play potential, kind of like what we're seeing right here?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, especially as a hunter, you have, as Jaja shows right here, right? He gets off a grid snipe, and then he can utilize the radar to pre-damage the opponent that's pushing him. That's what's so strong about this damn ability. I'm not faulting him for using it, but it's a very smart way to use it, right? The snipe is amazing. It's such a good slide scope. It's really nasty. But he gets the slide off, right? Yeah, there's the snipe. Then he sees the opponent pushing him, and then he can like defend like this. But not only defend, he can damage him to only use the shuriken, and that then gives him the ability. I mean, that was a mistake from both of those guys that they were kind of separated, right? But he utilized that mistake of them. So
I love this segment because I get to see other people. I kind of feel a little bit more of a narcissist when I watch myself all the time, but I like to go through my feed on Xbox, and I wish there was a better way to go through a feed on Steam for people's clips like this, because I always am envious of people making big plays, regardless of how many I made, because I think what he did in particular in this map, man, he showed massive precision. It looked like you do that on the rig, and it kind of makes you feel a little bit better to pat on the back. Greg, how about your big play potential? Do you see a lot of big plays coming out of yourself with Stasis, the new meta, the new expansion? Where you at?
I mean, I've had some game-winning plays from using Stasis. I think it's definitely a great subclass to run for when you're fighting for your life. Because you can as clearly demonstrate. I think this is a good example of anybody can do it. Not the snipe. The snipe was just flick of the wrist, man. That was a flick of the wrist. Yeah, that was clean. But like the backing up and the shadow dive thing is one of those, like, you could do that, but you need to be very aware and very cognizant of what's going on around you. Like when he first did that, I was like, yeah, he checked the radar. And what's funny to me is you can tell as soon as he gets that kill, the guy, the last guy left, immediately turns tail because he goes, oh, I got to reposition.
Exactly.
And then
he has to rethink
and he takes advantage of that and pushes forward and gets him out before he manages to get behind that corner again.
Again, if you're just tuning in, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's a beautiful play.
If you're just tuning in right now and you see this play, this isn't me. This is a member of the SNTR network. If you are just a member in there, you can submit to halftime play of the week, POTW, at sntrnetwork.com. I usually filter through it every week to see if I got any plays. Jaja was one of the many, and I put the email in chat right now. But send me your play. It could be at any point within the trials weekend, the previous, what happened up till Friday. I'd love to share it. Stuff like this, I want to be able to give back. I don't know if everyone likes to submit the videos for the movie of the week, for the TWAB. It's great to have that recognition. I want to give back a little bit. There are people in this community that subscribe to SNTR Presents, and they like PvP to the point like I do, where it's not always the topic of the day, Monday through Friday, but they want to be able to flex a little bit. Hey, this is the opportunity right here. I want to be able to help people that come on. If you're VIP above in SNTR, you can come on, just like these two gentlemen are. I would love to pick your brain a little bit. Figure out what makes you tick in Destiny, how you incorporate PvP, if at all. Want you to play a little bit of Trials. Greg doesn't play Trials all the time. He jumped in a little bit this weekend so he can have, a good insight on how he can have this conversation. He killed it. And he has, little to none compared, to people like me and Light Leap in terms of the PvP time. But he's competitive, and I want people with those opinions. I want the high end people to come on too. So if you're watching,
and I think
go ahead.
Double down on that idea. Like, I think sometimes PvP is like a lot of players don't want to engage because they have this inner blockade. They think like, oh, there's players who played always competitive games and I'll never be as good. And yeah, that might be true. You will never be a panda. I will never be a panda. Maybe Wolvie never will be a panda or whatever.
I won't. I'll tell you right now, I won't.
Yeah, but you can be good enough to enjoy PvP and actually start understanding games. You can start understanding abilities, and I'm like, what I tried to get across from the beginning is I'm not a player. I achieved everything I wanted. I can go flawless. I found really good friends who are really good at PvP, and I'm a person who just like didn't want to take my 0.8 KD and D2 year 1 as an answer, and just started practicing, just playing a lot and trying to get better. And I think everybody should just forget how you are now and just play. And I think you can do really good things, great things.
And that's a big reason why I wanted to start this show. Is I wanted the opinions of the great ones, and I wanted the opinions of the people that don't get in all the time, because I feel everyone's opinion truly matters when they're spending the time that they are. If you're just spending an hour to run a card, you just spend an hour of your time playing something that you're not accustomed to. Your opinion matters. Like, how can you get yourself in there more often? What can they do? What can they give you? Greg's a big part of the reason why I wanted individuals like himself on this show, because I feel that they have an opinion that doesn't get echoed as often, but it matters. Go ahead, Greg. I'm saying about how you're not in the playlist all the time, but getting in there and having your opinion almost heard, but at the same time part of the conversation is a great way to bring people into the playlist.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I was very skeptical before I came on about like, what's this gonna be like? But yeah, I mean,
Light thought we were playing.
I thought we were playing. Yeah, I'm still itching.
I mean, I did too.
I hope when you end that segment, we can stay live and just play a bit.
No, I mean, 100%. Like, you don't. I think clearly, like, I'm an example of like, you don't need to be the best person to have an opinion, or to like, really get involved in the game. I mean, I think, as we've been talking about, the biggest reason people don't really want to get involved is just because of the loot. I mean, I think there's a large part of the community, clearly, because the base was there at some point, that wants to get involved and play these matches and get the rewards and enjoy themselves and talk about PvP. But it's just it's just not in the best state. But absolutely, I think people should get involved.
I just want to say something to what Rawtooth is saying in chat. He's saying, I just dislike getting salty comments from last season while you crouching and gnawing hunger. Man, honestly, I don't know if you've ever played a game
nice
like
Huckleberry work,
like
by
I
the
used
way.
to when I was younger.
Right.
on court. It's in human nature that they try to get into your head. Oh, they
Yeah.
get salty and throw something at you, like why.
That's
why
what
are you doing it
competitions
like
are all
this?
about.
Yeah, like in basketball, the equivalent of crutching on what's meta is zone defense, right?
Yeah.
You can't handle the enemy team, so you play zone defense. But if you win, who gives a shit? Right? Who gives a
This is
shit?
the thing.
If you play zone defense, who gives a shit? Like, if they can't handle you at your best, then they don't deserve to win. And honestly, even teabagging is made into, so if you played in an era before there were emotes, teabagging is like saying hello. Just see it as another, like the all of these comments, they will not end. And I'm not saying that's good. What I'm saying is they will not end. But what can end is your mindset about it. Even teabagging, if you go in a mindset and you beat like 3v1, or even a player who's like trashing you, right? If you like suck and he teabags you, just like laugh at it. Like,
it gets in your mind, it'll trigger a person.
And he's trying to get into your mind, and the thing you can do best, because what these players want is for you to get upset. So if you just like shrug it off, if you just say, oh, this guy's teabagging me, that's funny, he like, his finger is stuck on the CDRL key, like you really have to you have to see it differently. You have to see it as this angry kid pressing his CDRL button. Because I was super against teabagging. I was a very gentleman player. At some points now, I use it. If there is a super sweaty game, I don't know the players, I like to teabag, because I know maybe I get in their head and they start making stupid games.
I don't like doing it on round one.
And in the end, I'm super happy to tell them, listen, I know I teabag, but you have to, like, if you let it get into your head, it's your own fault, right? So you just have to like let it go, man. Really, it's really not a big deal. And yeah, sometimes obviously people on the internet get racist or some shit like that, and you have to report them, and
Yeah,
that
which
sucks,
is
or
not-
they
yeah,
say worse
exactly.
things.
That kind of crazy
And that
stuff you can't
obviously-
avoid.
It
Yeah.
sucks, but you can't avoid it. But just stuff like teabagging or people, I think if he's saying to you, you crouch and you're gnawing hunger, and it means you probably had a good game, you went well in that gnawing hunger, and that means just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it like a compliment. Like, just answer him like, I'll crouch on that anytime.
See you next time or
There's
something.
no-
Something.
there's no
Exactly.
Go
shame.
ahead. Go ahead, Greg.
There's no shame, and I mean, people will call you out for it, but like, be like, okay, I'm using a gun that's good and it's part of the meta. Like, tough shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it works for you and you're doing well with it, who cares? Who
Exactly.
cares what they're saying? Like, it just means they're getting pissed off that they're dying too much. Like, you know, soak it in.
It's to get in your
Soak
head.
in the hate.
It's always to
Yeah.
get in your head. And a big. I come from playing football in high school and even at a collegiate level. I played wide receiver, and typically whenever I got to the line, the cornerback was always running their mouth, even before I could set myself up to even look at the ref to see if I was positioned right. He's got something out of his mouth just because of how I look or just whatever, because he thinks it's going to affect me in my route running. It's the same thing that goes into video games. We're far from the original Modern Warfare 2 Xbox lobbies and
Pre-game lobbies.
yeah, those man, if you're soft now, I can't imagine if a person was placed during that time, bro. You would have needed to see a therapist. But competition, it all comes back to competition. I love competition.
Right.
I can see you two like competition as well. It's a big reason why I still play Destiny. Big reason why I still play Trials. Getting together with a team, competing with that team, being successful with that team, and then being able to flex a little bit afterwards. What were you gonna say? Like,
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I switched to martial arts when I was like in my late teens, early 20s, and if people like when you box or do other martial arts, they can sometimes you get absolutely hit to the floor and you lose, right? And then you're still able to like hug it out after. I think the same thing can be true for PvP. Like during a game, sometimes I teabag, and the shit I'm saying to my teammates about the other team on the comms are not nice. But then after, you can laugh about it, and the game is over, and it's just human nature. You get competitive, you get in the zone, you get upset, or you try to let it out, and then you just have to hug it out.
go ahead, Greg.
I gotta share a sports story now because I'm feeling like I gotta make sure people don't think I was always completely lazy. All right.
Go ahead.
I used to do fencing because I was a bit of a posh public school boy, which was hey, hold on a second now. If you ever been hit by a sword by me, you're leaving with bruises and you're crying. All right. I hit very hard with those things. All right. So look, I used to do fencing for like 7 or 8 years, and there were these guys that were like they were like always in their own little club because they were on Team GB, which is like the Olympic team, basically like training up to be going to the Olympics. And they would always kind of like look down at me because I was the captain of the fencing team at the time, but they were still like consider themselves better because they're on Team GB. We went to a competition and I made them sweat, and I drew with them in both games. And they were like, after that was it. People like to just get in your head, like,
Yes.
and mess with you, and be like, if you ignore it or if you give it back, that's it. I mean, it just settles it. I mean,
By
people can
responding,
be
you're
competitive but
feeding
respectful.
into what they want.
Right.
Right.
Like, it's like you said, man. People that thought it was a pre-game lobbies before, like in Modern Warfare 2 and stuff. Ooh, it was so much worse than it is now. I mean, you just
Yeah.
gotta just like shrug it off, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we went really long this week, and I'm really happy. I want these episodes to get longer. If the conversation's always there, I feel when I get new Guardians on here to kind of get an introduction as well, like to find their place, to say what they want to say. I can't thank you guys enough again for being on here. I can't thank everyone in the audience. I can't thank the people that are watching after the fact. And if you're watching after the fact, please get in here Saturday night. Throw in the comments, join in on the fun. Let us know how your experience is on that weekend in Trials, because that's what ultimately we talk about. We talk about your PvP experience. We talk about Trials, how everyone's doing, if they're liking everything. these two guests, they're friends of mine through the SNTR community. I'm a big patron of that community. I want to give back to that community. If you're a VIP or higher, you could come on the show. Please, I'd love to have you on, pick your mind, introduce you to everybody. If you're just joined in, just level 1, you can submit play of the week. Be a part of this as well. I'll advertise you like we did with Jaja. Jaja has been a person that has come to me, asked me, been very, very appreciative of the content that I put out, which I'm very humbled by. Again, so thank you for all of this. Like, share, and subscribe it. But I want to give my two guests, one more chance to just say how they feel. And again, I thank them so much for coming on. Lightly, tell me exactly what your hopes are for the future, and if Trials can be somewhat put into what we thought was going to be put into last March with Season 13.
My biggest hopes are more cosmetics for Flawless and higher rewards for the lower tiers of games. Shower them with loot. I want the people to stay in there. I want to have fun all season in Trials with a good population. That's my hope. I don't need much more.
Where can everyone find you? Let everyone know what's the best way if they want to reach out, they want to say hi, they want to play with you. What's the best way people can reach out to you?
You can find me on the SNTR Discord, of course. You can find me with Light Leap on Steam. I don't think there's many. I think I'm the only one. And you can find me on Twitter with True Light Leap. Light Leap for some reason was taken by some telecommunications company. I'm not a streamer, unfortunately. I don't have time for that, but I'm glad to hit me up on all of these channels.
Greg, again, thank you so much for being here. I know it was probably absolutely to you both. No, you guys are doing me the favor than more so.
The only thing I want thanks for is that it's 4:30 in the morning.
Yes, dude, you're gonna sleep in tomorrow. Especially these guys are across the pond. I'm out in Vegas where it's only 7:30 right now. My night's just starting when they're just is winding down. Again, Light Leap, thanks, Greg. I can't thank you enough. I think
thank you so much,
your opinion matters just as much as the sweaty people, because for this playlist to survive and strive and be viable, the funnel has to be big enough to welcome people like yourselves and people anywhere in between. Where do you see the success, and is it possible that the success could come in Season 13 and open the funnel big enough to where you feel incentivized to try harder in Trials?
What I'm really praying for, so it is literally on a prayer, is that the reason they left the armor is because they knew they're bringing new armor next season. I'm hoping that they learn from PvE and that the PvE system for loot for the chest is a testing bed for Trials. I hope that they bring that into Trials, maybe not 13, maybe 14 or in Witch Queen. I hope it's not that late, but but overall, I completely agree with the sentiment of we need more loot for people like me, and we need more players to come in to fill the pool for both people like me and people like you. I mean, you guys can't enjoy it all the time without like stomping on a couple of us. And also
the one through 3 should be easier for individuals, myself or higher, but at the same time, the 1 through 3 should be fightable for enough for individuals below myself or even at the same level where that they're getting to 3 easy themselves. Go on.
And it should just generally have more variety. Like I don't know if you guys come across the same players like that often, but I think like the wider the net you cast, the more variety you're gonna get, and the more skill variation you're gonna get, and who knows? Like maybe that 1 to 3, if there's enough people, turns into a 1 to 4. Yes. And that's just one extra game that like I get where I can get some loot, but the loot has to be there, and they need to fix the loot delivery system that they have in Trials right now.
Where can everyone find you, Greg? Like, let people know how they can connect. Maybe they need some Sherpa to run them through a raid. Maybe they feel the same way as you, and they made themselves put up enough confidence to message you, be like, "Hey, man, let's get into Trials. Let's try it out." Where can people find you, buddy?
All right. Well, I got Twitter, same handle, because I'm unique and beautiful. Got the SNTR Discord, of course. almost always engaging in there. And then I also own and run the GeForce Now Discord. So people that play on GeForce Now, if you guys, if you don't know about it, we got a subreddit, and I'm there, and I'm always like I'm usually around on there. So there you go.
Would you nerd?
Do any of you guys have any final comments before I close this out for this evening and early morning for you guys, or wherever you guys are watching right now?
The only tip I can have is if you're really starting out, don't be afraid. The way I met most friends is after I lost a game or I felt some player was really good, I just added them and tried talking to them, and you'll realize most of them are super happy that you don't send them salty messages. If you send like, "Hi man, you played really well, maybe we can like team up sometime," most of them will be like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." You'll have them in the friends list, and that's how you'll get better.
That's a great point. I've made it upon myself. If I get in a really sweaty 5-4 game, win or lose, I try to send a GG. Even if I lose, I try to do it.
So many people appreciate that. It's unreal.
Yeah, Greg.
Yeah. No, I mean I completely agree. Like you said something at the beginning where it's like, at the very beginning, where it's harder to carry people, and playing with lower skill people has become more difficult. Like I'm one of those people that I actually in playing with higher skill people is not as enjoyable. Like I really enjoy playing with higher skill people because it brings out the super competitive, part of me, and it makes me improve my gameplay, and it like pushes me to the limit because I don't want to be letting people down, and I don't want to be the one that's like causing deaths on purpose like all the time. But yeah, don't be afraid to go out and just try it. Try it. I mean, like it is a good time when it works right. And, if you can meet the right group and get the chemistry going, you'll have a good time regardless.
No matter where you are on the spectrum, there's always going to be players better than you, and that's okay. You're always going to lose the games that you think you're going to lose. But like I said, where I hope people can watch this and take a little bit from it is just to be a little bit more confident entering. They know lanes this way. They know how to hold this one. Just emulate it to your own gameplay. One last thing, go ahead.
Yeah, one absolutely last thing, if you're really talking to beginners, is Destiny is full of bullshit. Just remember that.
Don't take it hard. Yeah, don't take it hard. Especially stasis. Stasis.
The netcode or something fucked you over, and that's just how it is. Just say, Destiny is full of bullshit. Whether you're the worst player or the best player, it's full of bullshit. A lot of the time. I've hit
so many snipes that should not have been headshots. Just because of the netcode or something.
So much random stuff we could get into, but I'm just saying, always keep that in your head. When you think like you're not sure whether it's you or something else, mostly but sometimes it's bullshit.
If you're brand new, if you're a sweat lord, if you're anywhere in between, you are welcome to your opinion. Even if you're part of the community, I'd love to have you on. Do not feel that you have to have a million flawlesses or you have to have done it that week. As long as you played a little bit, I want to pick your brain. I want to be able to share your perspective with the rest of the community watching and everyone else that's probably just wants to watch a little something in relation to what they've been playing all weekend. Again, this is Trials halftime. I want to give a little bit back to what people are participating a lot. I understand 150,000 is kind of low for where we've been before in this playlist. But hey, that's 150,000 that could possibly tune in and just chill out and talk a little bit or have me on in the background while they're running a card. Just to be a part of the conversation. That's really all this has been about. Fellas, it's been fun. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Give a nice goodbye to everybody before I close this out. Not one at a time. Not one at a time,
Go with the classic, goodbye, have a beautiful night.
Light.
Thank you very much, guys. It was fun being here. Thank you, Volvi, and have a good night, guys.
Absolutely, thank you, man.
And we'll be back here next weekend. Thanks again. Please like, share, and subscribe this. And as always, Guardians, stay flawless.
Were you offline? Okay.